On to McDavid. On to McDavid. Coming out across it. Here we go. Swayman and Valley, take your mask off, and he obliges. This is crazy. Oh.
The Jason Gregor Show.
On to McDavid.
On Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
He's coming out across it. Here we go. Swayman and Vasilevsky may go. Swayman tells Vasilevsky, take your mask off, and he obliges. This is crazy. Oh.
Well, magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. As always, maybe you're catching us later on in the podcast. Thank you for that as well. Some of you watching on Twitch or YouTube, wherever. Happy Monday. Hope you had a fantastic weekend for yourself. Of course, no shortage of sports going on. If you like hockey, if you like curling, if you like basketball, it's all there. Football, if you are a football fan, there's lots going on in the CFL as the window to negotiate opened. And now, this is so weird. They're like, yeah, you could take these offers. It's agreed upon. But legally, if you don't want to, supposedly you could turn back on it, which would seem kind of odd, I guess. But the Elks signed D lineman Malik Carney, who, of course, last year was excellent, top-ranked rusher by a lot of people. You had wide receiver Joe Robustelli, who kind of a crazy story. If you like underdog stories, the guy quit playing football at 14 because he was small and he was like 4'11", and then he started playing when he was in his mid freaking 20s, and that's nuts. But last year, of course, he had one game. I think he had like an 11 catch, 190 some yard game last year for the Riders. So he comes in. They got Taylor Powell. He'll be their backup with veteran status. But I don't know. Would he get more playing time than the youngster? We'll see. Then they went on the O-line, and we said the Elks needed to add some O-line, so they get Brennan Bordner. You also get Jordan Murray and Coulter Woodmansey. So they all come in, and he is Woodmansey is likely going to play center, I would think, and then the other guys at guard or tackle, we'll find out. But it's some competition for the green and gold, which will be key. You throw in David Beard, you got Carter O'Donnell, you got Mark Court. There's gonna be some competition on the offensive line for the green and gold. So big day for them. The Oilers, they can't beat Minnesota. The Wild have won 14 of the last 18 games against the Oilers. It was an entertaining game. That first period might have been one of the most entertaining periods I've seen. Now, Edmonton had lots of chances. They scored 2 goals. Got a little bit lucky on the one Nugent Hopkins goal, but they couldn't get a penalty kill stop in the first period. And then after that, they couldn't score. And they gave up some chances, and they ultimately end up losing 7-3. So no 4-game winning streak yet, but they did get to 3. So that's good news. They've allowed 25 goals in the last 5 games. It's an area of concern. Yes. I don't think the sky's falling. I don't think the Oilers have completely forgotten how to defend. I'm not a believer that you're going to play all good 82 games and every area of your game is going to be great all year long and you're going to roll to the playoffs and continue. It doesn't work that way, right? The Oilers can play good defensively. They've proven it. At times, hey, you're rolling offensively. I think there's a little bit of a mindset. Geez, if we let up 2 or 3, that's okay. We'll score 4 or 5. And it's kind of worked, but it didn't work on Saturday against the Wild. Also, I didn't even mention tennis. The fact that the Joker got to another final, but man, you can't beat Alcaraz right now. Like, that guy's good. He is really good. So, on the women's side too, of course, you had two really good matches. So it's a good weekend for sports overall, man. If you liked it, but Alcaraz won in 3 sets. Rybakina won in 3 sets. So a little bit of an upset, I guess, in the fact that Sabalenka didn't win the Australian Open, but it was pretty good, pretty entertaining. So overall, good weekend in sports. Now this week, lots happening. Of course, we got Super Bowl, so you'll have the lead up to Super Bowl. Lots to discuss on that. We have the final 4 days in the NHL: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they will break for almost 3 weeks because it finishes on Thursday, and then the season gets back going again on Wednesday, which is is that the 25th? Is that when it gets going again? I think it does, because the 3rd and 4th, yeah, that'll be the 25th. And then you rock and roll into the final stretch of the season. Of course, we'll talk some NBA. There'll be some more coach hirings. It looks like lots on the NFL. Kevin Woodley is going to be by today. We got Jen Mueller to talk Seahawks, Nick Kipros, Spec, Ryan Holt, the Condors. Connor Unger set in an AHL franchise record with 51 saves in that victory for the Condors on Saturday. Hey, man, the guy's playing great. Now, I know some people think he's going to get recalled. I'm going to tell you, pump your brakes. That's not going to happen. Calvin Pickard placed on waivers yesterday, was not claimed. He'll stay on the roster for the Oilers. He had a family break. You'd kind of be a real jerk organization to do that to a veteran player, to send him down today and then force him to abandon his his trip. That just doesn't make sense. They don't need him for those few weeks. But when they come out of the Olympic break, then the reason you do it now is because out of the Olympic break, you can just send him down the day of when you return if you want, on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, without having to need 24 hours. And then they'll have to make some other moves to activate Adam Henrique. It would likely be Szymanski, Pickard, and they'd have to send another player down to make Adam Henrique work. So they'll have time. That's why they'll do it after that. So we'll also have John Hodge talking some CFL and more. But first, Sean Brown will join us in studio. Brownie, how you doing, my man?
Good. It's a little wet out there. Hopefully everyone's got their windshield wiper.
Yeah. Top it up, baby.
Because you're going to need it.
Well, I don't... Like, for cost per what it used to be, I don't think anything's gone up more than windshield wiper. Like, you saw, a gas station's trying to sell for $8 now. You're just like, what is going on? Like, I'll make my own. Put a little, mix that one. Put half water in, so it's not going to freeze as it gets warmer. But yeah, it's a little slick, man. Friday night we played hockey, and then it was pouring rain, and man, it was a little bit of a slippery drive home. Thankfully, I was in St. Albert. I didn't have to go very far, but it was very cautious on the street. Could have skated home, literally.
Yeah, no, it was dangerous. I mean, I don't know how you are, but I was a little late last time we had that mild weather. So I wasn't able to shovel as much as I probably should have, and our driveway was pretty much a skating rink. So that light, I don't know if you got a light dust in St. Albert, but we did last night. So I kind of got going this morning, shoveling that off just to make sure we don't run into that same problem again.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a little bit. It was like it was rain with snow, because when I was shoveling, it was all just kind of crusty apart. So it was actually easy. It looked like there was lots, but it was easy to do. We got lots to discuss. Like the Oilers, it's interesting because there was a guy in from Toronto already today, and he was like, and he heard Tristan Jarry's comments, like, how do you think that's going to go over? And I was like, what? He goes, well, what Tristan Jarry said, that play better defense. I'm like, I don't think it's, what do you mean, how's it going to go over? Like, everybody knows they got to play better defense. But he said in Toronto earlier in the year, when Stolarz called out his team to have to play better, they were like, wow, you can't do that. You know, Tristan Jarry's new to the team, and Stolarz actually being on the team last year. I said, I said, if media people or anybody, that's the difference. And the organization, if players got their nose out of joint because he said it, that's why they don't win, right? Leon Draisaitl today. Yeah, we got to be better defensively, right? We'll get out of it. We know we can do it. Matthias Ekholm, same thing. They know they got to play better defensively.
Yeah.
And you just, as much as you'd like, you're not going to play great defensively all 82 games a year. And it was interesting. Matthias Ekholm had a statement. He goes, I played on teams where we were good defensively, but we couldn't score. And I've been on teams where you can score a lot and, you know, you're bad defensively. I'd much rather have the latter, because he goes, defensively is really just between your ears. It's just a willingness and commitment. You got to have the skill to be able to score. You can't will yourself to score. And now he didn't say that. I'm adding that part in, but I think it's true, right? Like, and we've seen that from the Oilers. You gotta buckle down, and they've done it in the playoffs. They've won 1-0 games. They've won 2-1 games. They've won 3-1 games. Because usually, if you play good defensively and you're the Oilers, your mindset can be, well, we got 2 nuclear weapons, and if we play good defensively, and eventually we get chances, I like the even if we only give up 4 and we only get 4, I like our odds better to score on 1 or 2 of our 4.
Yeah, they don't need a whole lot. I mean, they are spectacular and amazing, the level and what they're capable of doing. We all watch, you know, towards the end of the game, whether it was San Jose, you know, when they decide to turn up the heat in the last 3 or 4 minutes and you pull a goalie, it's almost automatic right now, just the level and the ability that those guys have. But yeah, I mean, defending it's not fun. It's not the sexy part of the game. It's the hardest part of the game. Or no, sorry, I'm not going to say it's a will. The hardest part of the game is to score, and the fact that you got the 2 guys that you know consistently can do that. I agree with Ekholm. Right now they're kind of struggling. Yeah, it's impossible to be perfect and, you know, bring your A game for 82 games of the season. But that's where it's a team. You know, I think when, you know, you got guys that, you know, are struggling at different points in time, you got other guys that are there to kind of help pick up the slack at different times. And right now there's just a little bit of that inconsistency. You know, I think all year long, the coach has been trying to figure out exactly what buttons to push throughout up and down the lineup, especially the 3rd and 4th line. I think when they figure that 3rd and 4th line out, I think a lot of their game will kind of sort itself out, because you can rely on those, you know, rolling out, not necessarily rolling out, but playing more guys more often and not leaning on certain guys too much, because obviously McDavid and Draisaitl, they're playing so much. And when you're playing that much, it's got to take away from other areas of their game. So I think once the lines kind of balance themselves out and guys figure out where they slot and get a little bit more comfortable within a role, some of the other situations defending will take care of itself. I mean, it's just the consistency in what you do it, right? They're not, you know, they're spotty at best, and, you know, they've proven that they can do it. And when you watch the top teams, I was watching the outdoor classic there in Tampa Bay, the good teams, I mean, they're really detailed. They have good sticks, they have good body position, and they defend fast, right? Where the Oilers are kind of, you know, it's just not there. It's not clicking right now. And, you know, when you play against those big teams like Minnesota, they make you pay, because they're a little bit more consistent and they're finding their game.
Yeah, well, Minnesota gave up a lot of good chances to the Oilers. The Oilers just didn't score. Wallstead was, I thought, was pretty solid in that game overall. But you know, like, I know a lot of people talk about, and this is, you know, it's interesting you mentioned ice time. Do you know how many minutes Kucherov played yesterday in that game for Tampa Bay? 28.
Wow.
Jake Gensel, 27. Brendan Hagel, 27. There's never three orders. Like in Edmonton, it's the new trend now. Everybody wants to talk about the fourth line's minutes, and like every other fourth line, plays. Now, Anthony Cirelli got hurt, so that did play a factor, right? But the third line in Edmonton, I think they would like them to play a few more minutes. Florida won 2 Stanley Cups. Their fourth line played 7.5 minutes one year and 8.5 minutes the other year in the playoffs. And that's with overtime games that are longer. Now, obviously, they're rare. The fourth line's playing in overtime. I get that. But they had Greer and Gadjevich 1 year. Like, you have two nuclear, like, they're big and physical and they're running guys around.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they did.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no offense to Derek Ryan. He's not doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So what were you going to do to bring some energy? But the third line plays more. And I think that's where you'd like to see Edmonton. And I will say this. I would be very willing to put a friendly wager on the fact that when you come out of the Olympic break, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins will be the third line center in the opening game against Anaheim. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Here's why. So, and I talked to Chris Knobloch about this back in November, and he has it on record. I should go get the clip where he said he thinks Nugent's a better center than a winger. Right? And we've seen it. When Nugent-Hopkins plays center, he plays better. He's just more engaged. He likes it. Ryan's talked to me about it. You're moving your feet more as a center usually than a winger. But then McDavid started to go nuclear in December, and that line was killing it. Well, you'd be an idiot coach to be like, okay, this guy's killing it, so we're not going to change the line. So they didn't change the line. And now Henrique's out. You got Szymanski, who I like, but he's sheltered minutes. I'm not going to play him as an everyday, like, big minute third line center, right? I just think that's unfair to the player.
Yeah.
So when coming out of the Olympic break, you can have Henrique and you can have Lazar on your fourth line. And then Nugent-Hopkins, I think, is going to be on your third line. Likely with Savoy, and then we'll figure out who the other winger is, right? Might be Frederick. Probably not going to be Mangiapane because I think they probably have to waive him just to get Henrique on the lineup. But the other reason why I think they'll do it is coming out of the Olympic break, at least for a few weeks, you're going to want three lines so you can play your top two lines a little bit less, right? And plus it gives them a good run for it. And I still think a top six winger is what the first priority would be.
A top six winger, because then
Nugent-Hopkins is my third line center. I need a top six winger on the trade deadline. So that's my crystal ball.
Yeah.
If I had to, and I'm basing that on conversation I've had over the last 2 months from coach and GM about, in an ideal utopian world, I still think they all think Nugent-Hopkins is a third line center. But lots of things happen throughout the course of a season where you have a plan, but doesn't mean you get to instigate it right away. And I do believe the absolute ripper that McDavid's line was on factored into them not changing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think if you look at what they have on paper and the signings they brought in, whether it's Mangiapane, Roslovic, I mean, Frederick signing of him, like, on paper at the beginning of the season, everything looked good if it all played out the way it should play out. I think that, Nugent-Hopkins being I agree with you, him being on the third line, if it plays out the way it should play out. But unfortunately, there's guys that have found their game and guys that haven't found their game, and forced as a coach to go with the two lines that they're actually producing. I think that, with Kapanen coming back, Roslovic playing the way he's playing, to put what's his name, Henrique on the fourth line, I don't know. Like, he's
not quick enough to play the third line yet. He hasn't been. I'm starting him there, and if he shows me, because up until he played this year, he wasn't a third line center.
I don't know. Is he here? Do you have an opportunity to maybe move?
Well, he's got a full no movement clause. I don't think there's any chance he's getting moved.
You know what? I get the whole no movement.
You can try
clause. Like, why would you ever want to be around a team if you're not playing? No movement clause or not.
Yeah.
Right. That's where you just, as a GM, I think you just have to have a conversation. Guys want to play. Guys want to feel a part of the team. Nobody wants to sit in the stands and have a no movement clause and just be sitting there. Guys want to play. Right. So the whole movement clause, I think if you handle it the right way and you're like, hey, we can find you an opportunity where you're going to play as opposed to sitting. I think most guys would kind of go for that. But, if he's not going to be on your third line, you're going to put him on your fourth line. I don't know if there's a real spot for him right now. I think that the way Savoy's playing and the steps that he's kind of taken, how many small guys can you have on your third and fourth line? Right. You need a little bit of meat there. You need some guys that are going to be able to play physical, play hard. I think that's to me, it's not a defenseman that they need as much as I think they need that. Who's the guy in St. Louis there? Shen. like a guy that can kind of play physical, play hard, knows his role, veteran guy. That's what I'm thinking.
It's possible. I just think they like Nugent Hopkins there. But you could be wrong. I just think they like him there. Speed, everything else. He plays better 5-on-5 as a center. So as for Henrique, if they want to move him and Lazar's your fourth line center, I don't have a big issue with that. But that's a bigger, I'm talking from day one, like on the 24th.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Now, could you have 10 days and maybe any trade you can facilitate. And you know what? If you feel that cap wise and everything else, you'd rather pay Lazar as a fourth line center, right, over Henrique as a fourth line center. I understand it. I totally understand that.
Lazar's come a long way. I think from the
beginning.
He's
healthy now. Yeah, he's moving.
Yeah, but he's moving. He's physical. He's taking pucks to the net. He's got he's playing in the, in the harder areas for the limited ice that he's kind of getting. I think he understands his role, and I think that the Oilers, are onto something with him right now. I think he feels comfortable where he's at. It's impressive that, from the beginning of the season, him being in and out of the lineup, he seems like a low maintenance kind of guy, just did his work and has put himself in a good situation where he's in the lineup every day and deserves to be there.
Eight 833-401-1440. Again, I love the hyperbole from Oilers fan. Tampa Bay had 8 penalties. McDavid plays 26 minutes when they have 2 penalties. Yeah, sure. Well, because he also penalty kills. But Connor McDavid has played 22 minutes and 40 seconds a game. He's played 22:50. I'm talking average over the last few years. He's at 23 minutes and 4 seconds. So those extra 18 seconds a game, that's the reason why the Oilers are losing. Let's be realistic here.
Well, it's hard too, is it not? Is it hard when you're, against San Jose, when you're down, you got to play those guys. You're down. They're the only guys, the 2 lines are the only ones that are producing. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of tough. I get the argument on both sides.
Like in his last 10 games, he's had games of 20 minutes, 21, 22, 23, 22, 24, 21, 25, 26, and 28. And so the 28 comes in an overtime game because he plays 3 minutes of overtime. Right? And I don't think that's ever going to change. And McDavid's line can play better defensively. But anybody who's watching, if you want to take away minutes from Connor McDavid, great. It's easy to sit there at home and say it. Your fourth line better do something, right? You can sit here and they're playing 10 minutes a night and they're not scoring any goals. Lots of guys around the league play 10 minutes a night and score goals, right? You can't tell. Well, Edmonton's the only fourth line who plays 10 minutes a night. They're the only one in the league. No, they're not. Not even close. At some point, you need some damn production from the line. It's just how, Matthias Janmark, I don't know if he'll ever score again in the regular season, right? Does a lot, skates well, physical, hard, puck gets it down the net, and it's just might as well be a penny because he's not going in, right? Trent Frederick hasn't scored in 28 games, right? Yeah, he's forecheck better. Great. They're not getting scored upon a lot. That's awesome. But this fallacy of that, if magically these guys got an extra minute a game, that they'd all be lighting up the lamp is just foolish to me.
But do you feel that they need to produce, but they also need to feel valued? Do they feel valued? Okay. I wonder that because when you have a coach and someone that believes in you, we all know, anyone that's played the game, you play different, you act different. You see the game different. Everything feels better. I wonder if there's a little bit of a disconnect and, if there was a little bit more belief I don't know what's been said or how they talk, in the conversations that, none of us are aware of, but that's one question that I would wonder is, could you get more if there was more, and I think Paul Maurice to me is a coach for Florida that I feel does an amazing job of always pointing out his fourth line, his role guys. It just I don't watch a lot of the Florida hockey games, but when any media bite or anything I kind of hear, he's always throwing flowers at his fourth line guys.
Okay, but he's not giving them flowers. Last year in the regular season, his fourth line, Nosek, $9.49 a game. AJ Greer, $9.36 a game. Yona Gadjevich, $8.27 a game.
But do they feel valued? I wonder.
Yeah,
there's a difference,
maybe.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, there was a time.
So then that's my point here. We're talking about two different things. It's not just time on ice then. It's you want the coach to have to say, but how can you say, hey, I really liked how my fourth line forecheck? Valid. Probably could say that. That's fair. But if we're just looking at it from do they feel valued, I would say, well, the championship teams, the last 2 years, their fourth line guys played 7 to 10 minutes a night in the regular season and in the playoffs, and they still won. So I'm just saying this argument that, well, if the fourth line plays more, that they're magically going to win, based on what? It's not based on anything realistic other than it's easy to, because it's white noise to me. The truth of the matter is the Oilers' big dogs have not been good enough defensively in the last 5 games. Full stop. Ekholm, Bouchard, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Wallman, Nurse, the guys who play the most minutes, have been on the ice for the most goals against. Anywhere from 6 to 10 in a 5-game stretch at 5-on-5. That's what's losing you games. And not because they're tired. They're used to playing 23 minutes a night. I mean, David's any more tired. Does he look tired? I think he looks tired. They're just, when they cheat offensively, they give up goals defensively. And they've started to cheat a bit because they've scored a lot. Like, that's funny. They've allowed 25 goals in 3 games, and they've won 3 of them.
So what about, obviously there's only, the hardest thing as a coach, there's only one puck and there's only so much ice time and everyone wants it, right? So maybe it's the quality and the times that you get out there, right? So the fourth line, third line, the situations on, and there's always opportunities in a game throughout the stretches of a season, whether it's an offensive face-off or there's so many different times that you're up 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to get our third line out. We're going to get our fourth line. Some of the big guys are going to, take a little less right now so that we can get these guys going and feeling good about their game and themselves and understand that they're just as valuable and we're going to need them, not only now, but in the future. So maybe it's not the minutes as much as it's when you actually give them opportunity on the ice.
That's fair. But the one thing you'll notice, how many times this year has he put out his fourth line after the Oilers score a goal? The opening faceoff, it's your fourth line. If you can't feel hey, we just got a goal, I'm putting you out there to keep the momentum going. There's not much more you can ask as a coach, as a fourth line player, in my opinion. And that happens fairly regularly for this team.
I think that's great to put them out there after a goal or before a goal, because their identity of the line is either to keep the momentum going or trying to find a way to get the momentum back.
Yeah. Quick break. We'll return. Kevin Woodley joins us next. It's Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's a lot of great seasons in Alberta. Hockey season, harvest season, the winter season, and the even more winter season. But GS Construction is already preparing for our next great season, because while the city slows down, we plan ahead. Projects, people, and pipelines. Everything starts taking shape for another strong year underground. We're also getting ready for our next hiring season in March. We want new people who want to build something that lasts. For more on us and to apply, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hear ye, hear ye! Dragon fruit has returned to Booster Juice! Prepare thyself for the legendary alchemy of the Dragon Slayer smoothie, Pink Dragon Booster Mixer, and Dragon Booster Ball! Yeah? Does the dragon taste like chicken? Nay! Booster Juice uses only delicious tropical dragon fruit! No dragons are harmed! Get thee to Booster Juice before dragon fruit vanishes once more!
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis. They're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows. Locally manufactured and installed, Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
$2.29. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Alley, Sean Brown with you. Again, to me, it's not the minutes for McDavid. They just simply got to be better defensively. They've leaked too many goals against this year. I know everybody always wants to blame the goalies. Goalies have changed. The number hasn't changed. So guess what? Now, they've done it in the past, but they need to rein it in and be a little bit more aware defensively. We'll hear from Matthias Ekholm on that. We'll hear from Leon Draisaitl as well as Chris Knobloch coming up. In a bit, it is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. At PlayAlberta.ca, as it's time now to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's and right now, Frank's Red Hot is bringing the heat to some of your favorite McDonald's menu items. Dip into the new Frank's Red Hot menu, only available at McDonald's for a limited time, i.e. this month. So check it out at McDonald's. As we welcome in from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com, we are joined by Kevin Woodley. Kevin, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. I had to shave the beard because we posted audio from or video from last week, and I had a rather white-looking beard, and the comments were, "Holy, he's old AF," and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's gotta go."
I just mixed it in, had a little salt and pepper. It's all good.
It's all salt at this stage. That's the problem. Although I've like you remember after I lost the tooth to the slap shot, so we were missing the tooth, little pandemic hair down to the shoulders, and the white beard. My kids started calling me Meth Head Santa, so that's why. I had to get rid of
I thought it was Gandalf. Maybe we'll see. But let's get into a few things. The Toronto Maple Leafs season has obviously not gone the way they want. They come to town tomorrow. Their goaltenders last year both had really good numbers, Kevin. And, there's some people wondering, hey, can you maintain it? Earlier this year, Stolar said, hey, we got to play better defensively. And I think that's valid. But the goalies probably got to play better too. They've both been injured at times. That factors in. How much of Toronto's struggles are goaltending related and defense related? Because I know it's a combination of both. I just don't know. It seems like rarely are both going at the same time.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. Interestingly enough, when I look at the numbers, like Stolar's has had the much harder environment overall, and that may just be, a factor of when he's been in the net in terms of him being healthy at times when they've paid better attention to it. Like I heard you talking about Jari and, and guys saying we need to be a little better in Edmonton, and we get to that after, but I pulled the numbers on just how bad they've been defensively, and it's shockingly bad. So Toronto hasn't been the same. Like they haven't been as good as they were last year defensively. And for sure, Stolarz has got the lion's share of the minutes where they're having tough nights in their own end. Joseph Woll's above expected by a decent margin. Stolarz is well below. Like, he's trending into the bottom 10 of the league right now, the way his game's gone. And that's kind of been since day one. And when I look at the video, and when I talk to people around the team a little bit, because they just came through Vancouver, I know this is going to seem odd, but we've talked about it before. He just looks like he's trying too hard. And you can't do that as a goalie. And sometimes the weight of a new contract, even though it wasn't a huge extension, but he finally got some security. And that tends to manifest itself in a couple of ways. And that's why I say that after watching video. You tend to get a little low and wide and dug into your edges. You tend to stop looking off pucks and scanning the zone and really becoming puck focused rather than aware of what's going on around you. And I see a lot of that in his game. Now, the challenge is, he's 31 years old at a time when the trend is to get goalies to get their feet underneath them, narrow them up. And he's always played somewhat low and wide. He's always been a guy who plays deep and has this. He's just such a monstrous, imposing, physical goaltender. He's so big that he's gotten away with it. And so it's tough mid-season, especially with all the injuries, to try and make those changes. And what I see is actually him going the other way. The harder he tries, the lower he gets, the wider he gets, the more committed he gets to initial shots, and the less mobility he has when teams, like you said, defensively start to find seams and move the puck around him. So it's like a snowball that's got going downhill in Toronto, especially for Anthony Stolarz. Like, Woll's been a lot better, but for Stolarz, it's got going the wrong way. And I think you're going to see a lot of teams focus on this, come out of the Olympic break with guys in that type of situation and almost go back to day one in that week-long practice session and make it the same things they were focusing on in training camp, and almost like a reset for a lot of these guys. Because right now he looks like he probably needs one.
Yeah. And hey, they might get a reset with no games that are meaningful, and they'll try to redo it again. And we'll see where it goes. Now, Calgary, on the other hand, they got Wolf and Cooley. When he gets in there, Kevin, he's right up there amongst the lead leaders in a lot of his statistics. Right? If you're Calgary, would you look at playing Cooley more, or is this the right amount to play him?
Honestly, it's a tough one, right? Because you don't want to lose Wolf. He's there's a reason Dustin Wolf is where he is. Why he's considered to be the future there. And it's all valid. He had a terrible start to the season. He's dug himself out of a hole. Now in the last couple of weeks, it's gone a little south, and they've been in a job share during that stretch, which, kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit. Does he need that every night rhythm? Does he need to play more to sort of find his game? I don't have those answers, but in the meantime, that back and forth makes a ton of sense to me, because Devin Cooley, you say he's been good. I don't know that people realize how good. Only Ilya Sorokin has a better adjusted save percentage on the season as a whole than Devin Cooley right now. And again, like you said, small sample. So with that in mind, I don't mind them expanding the sample. See as much as you can, give him as much experience as he can get, as long as you don't completely lose Wolf. And we've talked about this before. Alternating back and forth is probably the best way to do that. If every guy wants to play every game, the next best thing is every second game. None of this winning you're in stuff. Just, I know I'm going. I don't have to be in the net thinking, oh man, if we lose this game, I might not get in for another week. I like that for both guys. Find out more about what Devin Cooley is at the National Hockey League level. See if he can maintain this, especially with more starts and a larger sample. And just make sure you're not losing Wolf in the process.
Hey, Kevin, with Calvin Pickard clearing waivers, did you think that maybe there was a chance a team would pick him up, or did that surprise you?
I wondered about the Flyers because they can't get a save when Dan Vladar's not in net right now. And that was the team I wondered about. Obviously, he clears. I don't know this, but my guess is it might not be a coincidence that they didn't make this move till after Linus Ullmark came back for the Ottawa Senators. I don't know that the Sens, after they signed James Reimer, would have necessarily been interested. But they're another team whose playoff lives are kind of hanging in the balance, and they have struggled, or were struggling until Reimer arrived, and now with Ullmark back, we're struggling to get a save. So maybe it's pure coincidence that the Oilers finally make this move after Linus Ullmark starts again, and the Oilers have the Senators have two good goalies going, but maybe not. And the Flyers were sort of the only team that I looked at as a possibility. Now, I guess the question is, and you guys may be able to answer it better than me, Jason, if you've talked to the coaching staff, how do they manage 3 in the American Hockey League? Because Connor Unger's continuing to be sensational. Matt Tompkins has been really good of late. And the game, much like we talked about Connor Ingram, like I don't know that the American Hockey League game after all this time in the NHL is going to be the best for Calvin Pickard in terms of translating to results, because it's such a game of broken plays and mistakes down there. So how they balance this out moving forward, to me, is going to be a real interesting thing to monitor.
Well, it won't happen for a few weeks. Pickard's not going to be reassigned, right? So he won't be reassigned until coming out of the Olympic break, is my understanding. And now maybe I shouldn't even say that. Maybe when the Oilers come back to practice on the 18th, I don't know how it works as far as can you reassign a player. I should double check. I know the trade freeze is Wednesday, but I don't know if there's a roster freeze or not afterwards. But I do know there's certain rules of like guys had to play so many games, just couldn't send them down. But so
I don't know that. Yeah, my understanding actually, now that I didn't realize they hadn't. There's probably in that window now. He's probably been on an NHL roster long enough that they can't send him down during the Olympic break anyway.
Yeah, so he wouldn't come back. He would go, and that's so they put him on waivers now. So then when you come out of the break that first day, you can just send him down. He doesn't have to clear waivers for an extra day, right? And then he'll go down. And I would, if you asked me today, I would guess that then Unger would go to the ECHL. They won't run 3 goalies because there are not enough games. And Unger's splitting time in the American League as it is right now. Matt Tompkins has played well too. It's not like Unger's running the ship. So you're not going to run 3. And they'd probably say, you know what? We'll just put you back in the ECHL. Might suck, but you're going to be the main guy and get to play all the games in the ECHL. And playing time, regardless of what league you're in, is usually better.
Do they have an affiliate to send him to would be my question, because he bounced between 3 at the start of this season. Because do the Oilers have their own?
My understanding is, well, they have their own, that they have 2 goalies there. My understanding is that the Orlando probably still be very much interested in having him come there.
Because that's important. And listen, a lot of people are going to look at his numbers and be like, he should be going the other way, coming up and all this. Like, much like we talked about with, like, I liked his game. He's just always in position. It's not always pretty how he gets there, but he just always seems to find a way to be square, and he constantly tracks, and there's lots to like. But much like we talked about Ingram's game translating better in the NHL than the American League, Connor Unger's just never seen the NHL. And to expect the numbers he's producing in the American League to automatically carry over, as much as I get some people wanting to see if it could, I don't necessarily think that's a safe assumption. There'd be a learning curve there for a team that's trying, to do big things come the playoffs. That would, I see him as more of a, in case of emergency, break glass option as a, and you've got time, let him play in the ECHL, let him get lots of minutes. I've actually had a couple of people in the American Hockey League tell me they think Matt Tompkins can play in the NHL as well.
Oh yeah.
Despite all the success that Unger's having, they really, like I said, they really like his game and where it's at, and they think it would translate to the National Hockey League right now.
So do you feel like Unger would benefit for his development to go down to the East Coast Hockey League? I mean, you know what you got with Pickard, you know what you got with Tompkins. Do you stay with the fact that you want to continue? Does he develop better in the American League or East Coast, in your opinion?
If you can find him minutes in the American League, then yeah. But if your situation is you can't find him minutes, because like he's answered every question they've thrown at him in the AHL. He's answered every question from every team at every level this year. So you got to make sure you don't lose him, like in terms of how you explain this. The other part would be, does he just go to Orlando, or does he have a little support, right? Like, is there anybody helping him with his game, right? Like, that's what he has in the American Hockey League, right? He's got Kelly Guard there on a day in, day out basis to help him through these steps and work on his game. Goalie drills, goalie specific work, a guy who's been there and been through a lot of things in his own career, able to lean on it. That was all part of the conversation we had with Connor Unger when he came through Abbotsford. And so the challenges in the ECHL, you're a lot more on your own, managing your own game typically. I don't know if they would send Jeff Saleko down there to keep an eye on him, to get some reps with him, to make sure everything's continuing to move in the right path. But the two biggest, I do understand and I agree that if he's not going to play in the American League, send him to the coast so he can get games. But the two biggest parts of that are A, make sure you've explained it in a way where you get him on board and he's not upset about it. And B, make sure you provide support for it. I mean, there are a lot of NHL teams now that have a roving development coach that spends time, visits prospects in their respective leagues, whether it's in the NCAA, the CHL, or even overseas, goes and talks to the goalie coaches they have at those levels, gets on the ice with them, make sure that everything is, in a good place for the league they're in, but also working on things that will translate once they turn pro and come to North America, and make sure you're providing that support to him if indeed he ends up in the ECHL. And hey, like if you're Jeff Saleko, a trip to Orlando wouldn't be all that bad. It's warm down there.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine, NHL.com joins us. Woodley, where'd you come out on Swayman, Vasilevsky? 2 goalie fights now in a very short period of time.
I'm going to have to send Jeremy a note and ask if he's, hasn't been using his In Goal Magazine subscription, because if he was, he would know that Vasi's a lefty, and that seemed to keep, he kind of, that caught him off guard. Andre told us years ago that he would actually catch with his right hand. He would be a full right goalie, if not for the fact that he was not able to get a catching glove for his right hand growing up as a young goalie in Russia. And that's despite the fact his dad was a professional goalie playing in Russia. They just couldn't get that equipment at that time where he was. And so that's why he catches with his left hand. Unfortunately, not everyone, including Jeremy Swayman, seemed to realize that. So he caught a few from Vasi's left hand as well.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, well, he's a big dude too, but
lots of reach too.
Yeah, lots of reach. Vasilevsky and Tampa Bay is really rolling. And he's obviously playing very good. Sorokin has been playing very good. Are you surprised at because it didn't start well in the first month, but what has been changed in John Gibson's game the last 3 months that wasn't there early in Detroit?
So 2 things. One is like just that sort of checklist that we usually go through around trade deadline time and goalies, right? Like if you've never been traded before and you've only played on one team, that means it's going to take some time. So you're probably not a good candidate for a trade deadline move as a goaltender. You've played for different coaches, you've had different teammates in different systems, but just everything in your life from a day-to-day habit standpoint is the same. And routine is such a big part of goaltenders. And I talked to him when he came through Vancouver and, what do you know, shut up the Canucks, which he tends to always do. And that was around the start of his game starting to get on track. And he just basically said, never been through this before. It took me a while to get comfortable. Now, part B is, I do think if you go back and look at the footage for the first couple of months of the season, this kind of ties into the Stolarz comment, he had starting to widen out. Again, big spotlight, big stage. The tendency when you try too hard is to get too rigid. So you widen out in your stance. That changes all your angles with your hands. It adds tension into your game. Tension is the enemy of goaltending, especially if you're John Gibson. He plays such a loose, free-flowing game, remains active with his hands, even when he's on his knees. Like he is just the king of sort of casual-looking goaltending. And he had way too much width and way too much tension for the first couple of months. And that, if you sort of look at him on the ice, first couple months to now, his stance looks a lot more like it did in Anaheim during his heyday. And he's gotten rid of that sort of widening out. And like, it seems like such a little thing, but if you think about it, when you set up as a goalie, like as soon as you get your feet further out from you, you lose, your edges tend to dig in deeper. Your body pulls back, your hands pull back, like all your sort of reference points from a vestibular function standpoint, as guys are shooting pucks 90 to 100 miles an hour at you, like they all change. And so it's such an important part of the goalie's game. And he's got a new coach and he's got new things. And so the tendency is to try hard, but also, maybe didn't have a voice that recognized, hey, you're getting wide. Let's narrow this back up. Since he's narrowed it back up, he's been the John Gibson that we expected him to be, or that some of us expected him to be. And quite frankly, happy to see it, because I said for a long time, I thought he'd be a lot better on a good team than he was in Anaheim. And he's showing that over this last stretch.
And lastly, speaking of goalies, Brandon Bussey played in Providence for 3 full seasons. And you know what? Had pretty good numbers there. But funny enough, his save percentage actually went down every year, 924, 913, 907. And now he's in the NHL this year. And obviously is playing exceptionally well with the Carolina Hurricanes. What happened? Did you see this coming last year with him in Providence?
No, but we all should have seen it coming as soon as he signed with Florida, right? Because that's who Carolina got him off on waivers. And by the way, Daniel Tarasov, who they traded for as well during the summer, is has been exceptional. The problem in Florida is Bob has not been, and he plays the majority of the games. And obviously they're missing key guys. But as soon as Bussy signs in Florida, your eyebrows should go up like, ooh, like they got 9 people in their goaltending department. They tend to pick the right ones. And they have a good track record that way. We interviewed him after his first pro season in Providence. Remarkable story, great kid, like just seemed to have the right perspective on everything. I don't know what happened in Providence other than competition. Like Michael DiPietro came in there and played really well. DiPietro has been an all-star a couple years in a row in Providence. He was the goalie of the year last season in the American Hockey League. He's getting pushed now by a young kid, and he's keeping it up. Bussy's game dropped off. But we've this potential's always been there. He's so big. He's so agile. He's so athletic. There are things in his game that I've had a few goalie coaches wonder, like at a level of aggression, and not just in terms of like chasing out on guys, but the path he takes, the routes he takes on lateral plays, that they think might be exposable come playoff time once teams really try and go after a scouting report. Because if you start pushing out and attacking guys, they'll start moving it around you once they figure that out. But to this point, I've got him. I don't think the raw numbers do him justice outside of the wins, Jason. Like his expected save percentage is .876. Carolina has 3 of the lowest expected save percentages in the NHL, the toughest environments. They don't give up a lot, but they give up quality. He's outperforming it at a level that is 4th in the National Hockey League right now. And if you remove the small sample of Nikita Tolopilo, it's actually 3rd. Only Sorokin and Cooley are ahead of him. So, he's been full value for the results he's had. The only question is, can he keep it up? Does anything change come playoffs once teams really try and dig in on those strengths and weaknesses? And one last point on Bussy, because when I looked up those numbers, like it's really interesting to me that the top 5 guys in the NHL adjusted save percentage wise, which helps us, sort of account for smaller samples better than a cumulative stat like goals saved above expected. Ilya Sorokin, Devin Cooley, Nikita Tolopilo in Vancouver, Brandon Bussy, Logan Thompson. And 4 of those 5 names are kind of your late bloomers, as opposed Sorokin's the only one there that's like, oh, hey, this guy's a can't miss, surefire, elite goaltending prospect. A lot of those other guys took roundabout paths to get there, including Logan Thompson, who goes to the Olympics after spending time, playing U Sport at Brock University in Canada. So it's really interesting to me. I don't necessarily have a definitive statement about that, but at a time when a lot of teams invest draft picks and draft capital and development, it's interesting that, 4 of the top 5 guys in the league right now, undrafted free agents, guys who bounced around. Cooley was through several teams. Thompson cleared waivers multiple times and was kind of an afterthought, I think, to a lot of people after getting traded to Washington. Like I don't know what to make of the trend, but it certainly raises the eyebrows when you see that 4 of the 5 at the top of the list sort of have that in common.
Kev, great stuff, buddy. We will chat with you next week, and we'll be previewing some Olympics. Look forward to it. Have a good one.
Yeah, I am digging into all the main starters to do our NHL.com sort of scouting breakdowns for the Olympics. So no sleep between now and next Monday, but I should have lots to go over when we talk next.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
That's Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com. Quick break. We'll return. Gregor, Brown, Halley, Sports 1440.
Exciting news from St. Albert Dodge. The all-new 2026 Jeep Gladiator Sport packages have arrived. They have a great selection and a bunch of colors to choose from. And if you've checked out the Sport, you know it comes in some fun colors. Rugged capability, practical off-road features, and you can get behind the wheel for as low as $49,900. That's right. Put yourself in a brand new Jeep Gladiator Sport for less than $50,000. What more can you ask for? Time to head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com. The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Do you work for a company that wants to reach people who love sports? Or maybe you're looking to hire people who love sports. Sports 1440 partners with dozens of local businesses, connecting with tens of thousands of Edmonton sports fans every day. On the radio, on the listening apps, on YouTube, and on social media. Contact our sales team today to see what Sports 1440 can do for you. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca to get started.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug in to your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Portions of this hour are brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$2:55. Welcome back. Gregor, Brown, Connor Hanley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. We got a lot of texts coming in. Hey, guys, how can they activate Henrique after the Olympic break? They don't have the cap space from Frank. Well, Frank, you're bang on because they're going to have to make 3 moves. So if you look at the Oilers cap space right now, and obviously Henrique is on LTIR. He has a $3 million cap hit. So they currently have about $425K in cap space. Okay. So you send Calvin Pickard down. That's $1 million. You would send Josh Szymanski back to the minors to activate Adam Henrique. And Szymanski comes in at, what is he, 775? No, he's 975. So even more than that. So there's 1.975 plus the 425K. It's not enough, right? It's not enough. So then the other option is virtually at that point any player. Well, the obvious one's going to be Andrew Mangiapane, which, probably not ideal. But at that point, you want to get Henrique on the roster, you're going to have to send someone down. So it's either Regula, but he requires waivers. So does Mangiapane, but I think you'd put Mangiapane on waivers, and if someone claimed him, he'd be doing cartwheels because it would free up $3.6 million. But you put him in the minors, it only frees up $1.2 million, but that would be enough. Now, because even if you did Mangiapane and Pickard and kept Szymanski, for argument's sake, it's still not enough because I would still only get you to $2.625 million. So that's why it has to be a third player on their team, and they don't have anyone else that you can do it. So that's their option. They could do it. I think they will try to facilitate a trade. Now, the other thing is, in these next 2 games, if there's an injury to somebody significant would require LTIR, well, that would change everything. So, but that's the options that they have. They would have to send down 3 players for it to work. So we'll see. Hey guys, I agree. Younger would be better served playing at more lower level, but how do you explain Bussy? I know it's rare, but it can happen from Aaron. Yeah, it's like Binnington. It can happen for sure. Again, Right now, I'll say this. In Carolina, they're not leaking high danger chances like the Edmonton Oilers are. So with Brandon Bussey, who Kevin Woodley even said is starting to slow down a bit, right? Teams get a little bit more of a scouting report on him. Some of his tendencies come in. I love the Connor Unger story. But if Edmonton's going to play this leaky of defense and you're going to bring in a rookie goalie and think that he's going to solve it, I think you're putting him in a position to fail.
Yeah, no, I think you got a goalie that a young prospect and a goalie that's playing well. I mean, my only concern, I'm thinking a little different than you, Gregor, and putting him in the East Coast. I think with Tompkins, he's a veteran guy. He's a good goalie. You know what you're going to get. You know, I would probably want my future prospect playing in the American Hockey League, the closest league to the NHL. You know, getting as much opportunity, getting quality shots against, you know, quality players and quality situations. You know, obviously with Pickard going down there, you know what you're going to get. So, you know, I guess, you know, you want to keep his development going and build off of what he's actually doing. So I don't know, sending him down to the East Coast to me, and like Kevin said, I mean, not every East Coast team has a goalie coach. So Jeff Saleko or somebody would have to go down there to make sure he's giving him guidance. But, you know, with a guy that you don't know and he's got a ton of potential, I think I would rather have him in the American Hockey League playing, even playing every other game, or try and get him as much as you can. That's just my opinion. Than playing some guys that you already know they're more or less, you know, kind of an insurance policy for if something major happens up with the big club.
Yeah. And I was wrong. Szymanski's he's like a 1.4 because his bonuses count because he wasn't on the opening day roster. But even at 1.4 and you send him down and you send Pickard down, that's 2.4. And the $425K in the minors, that's still only 285, right? 2.85. They need $3 million to get Henrique on. So even then, it doesn't do it. They got to do a third player. Pick the number anywhere you want. They got to do a third player. So it's now, could they do Mangiapane and Szymanski and keep 3 goalies? Well, how would that really help you? I don't see them doing that, because that would be 1.4, 1.15, 425. No, that still wouldn't. That would just, no, even that wouldn't work. It still wouldn't be enough. So yeah, you need a third guy.
What about I think you would lose if you tried to put in Regula. Do you think he would get picked up if he was put on waivers? I think there's a chance. I like him.
No, Regula will get picked up because there's lots of bottom feeder teams that are like, hey, you know what? We'll take a young right shot defenseman who's big, and we'll take time with him. He could play in our third pair because we're not a team that's thinking they're a Stanley Cup team. So no, I think like they would love to get Regula time in the American. And I do wonder if at some point they even just put him down in conditioning stint. He still counts on the roster, but he can go down and play 4 or 5 games. Like, I really wonder if they look at doing that with him. I don't think they would do it during the Olympic break because, it's just, you know, he's got a trip planned. But when you come out of the Olympic break, now he's going to get to practice for 4 or 5 days. But when you made all these moves, I wonder if I would look at the schedule and say, can we just send him down in a conditioning stint? Because by then, we're talking 6-8 weeks, the guy hasn't played a game. At some point, you want to get him in. And when you do a conditioning stint, he still counts on the roster. So whatever, you eat it that way. But you can send him down to the minors and get him to play some games.
I don't think he's that far away from getting in the lineup. There's no reason why he can't get in there right now. I mean,
are you taking Emberson up?
I don't Stastny, Emberson. I mean,
but it can't be Stastny because then you're asking Emberson or Regula to play the other side.
I like Emberson's game, but I mean, the fact that they're struggling a little bit, you know, defensively, I don't.
But not that pair hasn't really been. That's the thing. Like Stastny in the last 5 games, Brownie, Stastny's one of only 3 players who hasn't been outscored 5-on-5.
I just wouldn't mind getting Regula in there just because of his size. And I like the way he was playing. I think he got.
You actually thought he was playing. See, I thought.
No, I thought he was playing well, and then he kind of. I don't know if it's just maybe got a little bit comfortable, but he kind of got away from his game a little bit. And yeah, he was struggling. But I mean, he's got a side to his game, and you can't teach size. You know, and just to keep competition and guys uncomfortable, I would throw him in there.
All right.
You don't want him sitting too long.
No. And that's why I think a conditioning stint might, that's the easiest way to get around it, right? You keep your guys playing. He gets to go down there. You strategically look at it at a time where he can go and get into 3 or 4 games, and then away they go. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home, no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter. LegacyHeating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers goaltender Calvin Pickard cleared the waivers earlier today. He was placed on waivers on Sunday after going 5-6-2 in 16 appearances with the big club with an .871 save percentage. The team also signed defenseman Atro Lappin into a 1-year, 2-way contract through the 2026-2027 season. Barry Trotz is retiring as GM of the Nashville Predators after just 3 years on the job, but will stay through the March 6th trade deadline until a successor is found, playing a role in that process. On the ice tonight, you've got the Sabres taking on the Panthers. Those Preds host the Blues, Wild up against the Canadiens, Sharks in Chicago, Habs host the Red Wings, Canucks in Salt Lake City, and the Flames taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs in the association. One game underway right now. Hornets lead the Pelicans 85-82 in the fourth quarter. Later, you've got the Pacers and Rockets, Timberwolves in Memphis, and the Clippers hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Jen Mueller, talk about Seattle Seahawks, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Sometimes you think about what you're going to do in the day. Go to work, pick up the kids from school, make supper. But at GS Construction, we think a little differently. Winter is our season to think, to plan, and to improve. We study, we innovate, we train. So when the thaw comes, we're ready to dig, build, and deliver even better, which means we need people like you. If you're thinking about joining the team at GS Construction, now's the time to do it. To apply and to see how we think, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hear ye, hear ye. Dragon fruit has returned to Booster Juice. Prepare thyself for the legendary alchemy of the Dragon Slayer Smoothie, Pink Dragon Booster Mixer, and Dragon Booster Ball. Does dragon taste like chicken?
Good Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome.
Delicious tropical dragon fruit. No dragons are harmed. Get thee to Booster Juice before
both
dragon fruit
going at the
vanishes
same
once
time.
more.
Overall, and that made you.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending
next is
since
Gregor Show,
1999.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Cantork has
Jason
always
Gregor.
been a forward-thinking company. But now that we've turned 25, I can't help but take a minute to take a look back.
Connor Halley, Sports 1440.
Thank you to everyone that's been with us along the way.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Just after 3 o'clock, con man's mixing the bag. Maybe it's because of the Grammys were last night. All sorts of different musical choices tonight. I like it, Jason Gregor. Sean Brown, Connor Howling with you, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca as the NHL 4 days to wind down before the Olympic break. And of course, coming up in 6 days' time, it is Super Bowl 60, rematch of Super Bowl 49, Seahawks and the Patriots. Seahawks, of course, will now. There's not much carryover in the franchises between then as far as players and coaches and everything, but lots of different players and different styles and different storylines, but should be a very entertaining. Although I could be wrong. I think the Seahawks are going to blow them out, but we'll see. Not to the tune of them blowing out the Broncos in was that Super Bowl 48 when they won like 43-8. I don't know if it'll be that much of a blow, but I know I see them winning by 10 plus in this game. We'll see what happens as we get to our Super Bowl report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. As Jen Mueller joins us, sideline reporter for the Seahawks, doing a little extra work. Probably excited about the fact that they are into the Super Bowl. Jen, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. I am fabulous. It's the start of Super Bowl week. Things will get crazy tonight, and it's just going to keep going.
It will. And then now you look at this Seahawks team, and at the start of the year, a lot of people thought, hey, the Seahawks would be good. I don't know if anybody thought they had been from start to finish. I think you can look at a lot of statistics to say they have been the best team in the NFL start to finish this season. They've got an elite receiver. There's no doubt about that. Arguably the best in the game. But they got a lot of good pieces, Jen. What is the most unheralded part or position or group of position of the Seahawks team that doesn't get talked about enough?
I think you could talk about special teams every day and still not talk about the impact of special teams enough and what Jay Harbaugh has done as a special teams coordinator. Now, there's a lot of really important positions on the field, but Rashid Shaheed and what he has done as a mid-season acquisition is incredible. It's not just a number of scores that special teams has come up with. It's the way he fields the ball. It's the field position that they get. It has been a strong unit, but they take such pride in executing and flipping the field and giving an advantage. I don't think people talk about the Seahawks special teams enough.
Sam Darnold got a little banged up last game. How's he? Where's he at, and what can you expect from him?
Yeah, we will see when practice reports come out this week. I mean, look, there is zero doubt that he is going to play in the game, and they've been kind of managing him the same way that they've managed him the last couple of weeks. So when we were in Seattle, it wasn't quite a full go, but you didn't need to because you had that extra week. So they're just going to keep an eye on it. He's going to continue to get treatment. I will say, though, for having played with an oblique for the last 2 games, and when the Seahawks needed him to make big plays, he did. I don't have any qualms that he is going to be ready to go for the Patriots on Sunday.
If you look at the matchup here for the Patriots, defense to the Seahawks offense, we all know that the game can be won or lost on the offensive and defensive line. How do you think the O-line of the Hawks matches up to this D-line of the Patriots?
Yeah, I think it is a strong matchup all the way around, right? It's the first time we've got, 2 top 5 offenses going against 2 top 5 defenses. I mean, it is going to be a great unit. Here's what I love about the Seahawks offensive line. First of all, Charles Cross is back. He dealt with a foot injury, but we expect to see him out there on Sunday. He makes a huge difference at left tackle. But it's also the level of communication that these guys have gotten to, where they have said, look, we don't have to say a whole lot. We can look at each other. And that doesn't sound like such a big deal. But when you are looking for any edge, they're not going to give the defensive line one. You're not going to see them gesturing. You're not going to hear them making, these extra calls. There's a few less tells that the defense has to go on when you are operating at such a high level. And I would say, this offensive line has done a phenomenal job all year long. And Sam Darnold has done a really good job of knowing when to just take the sack or eat it, and when to get rid of the ball. And they are hitting on all cylinders, and it is going to make a really big difference. Plus, they do go against a pretty strong defensive line in practice every day. So I think they are well attuned to what physicality looks like and what some of that pressure looks like.
Jen, this is a big game, a big moment in all their careers. What's the vibe? What's the feeling like around where you're at?
Yeah, it is loose but focused. And that's exactly what they've been all year long. And they identified this back in training camp. There were guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and Julian Love and Leonard Williams telling the rookie Nikim and Worry, hey, look, I know that you're not going to get this until you're further in your career, but we see that this is a special team. And we know that you're a special player. So you just trust us, right? Give us your best. Dial it up, right? Don't think about doing anything less because we're going to do something really special. And when you have that mentality going back to training camp, this doesn't feel bigger. This doesn't feel different. I mean, you've got a few more media responsibilities. This group cannot wait to get back to shadow boxing with each other. It is truly unlike anything else I have ever seen. They clinched the division in San Francisco. The next thing they're doing, I turn around and they're shadow boxing after doing post-game interviews. This is a fun group. They are very dialed in on game day, but they're just kind of loose and focused. I mean, that's the phrase that they have used all year long, and that's what it feels like around the team.
And I'd obviously, you know what, you want to have fun, you want to be loose, as Jen Mueller joined us. They also have Sam Darnold. And, Sam Darnold came from that vaunted 2018 draft class with all the quarterbacks early on, and now he's the first one to get to the Super Bowl and maybe be the first one to win it. And, he had a pretty rough ride in New York and Carolina, and had a great season last year in Minnesota, and then didn't get it done. And it's amazing to me, how many people want to just, trash quarterbacks earlier in their career. It's clearly, there's a few exceptions, but a lot of guys take time to develop. You've seen him this year develop, Jen, and show up in the playoffs big time. He would just seem to be a guy that, like, his teammates, they all hear the stories. They all hear they're just like, man, like, winning one for Darnold would shut up anybody who still had any doubt, which I think would be, kind of ignorant anyway. Do you think they have doubt? But how has he been through all of this? And how have you seen maybe even his growth after getting that first big playoff win? To the Jason.
I would say he has been the same person all year long. And based on guys who have played with him before, coaches who have been with him in other cities, I mean, they've kind of said the same thing. It's come out in the media quite a bit in the last couple of weeks that going back to his days at SC, he has just had this calm, self-assured demeanor. He is one of the guys. He's got a dry sense of humor. He is very understated when he's walking around the building, but he has complete control and command when he gets on the field. And I think when you go back to, I believe it was week 11 against the Rams, it's the game that we lost against the Rams in LA, and Sam did not have a very good game. And it was Ernest Jones who came to his defense in postgame and said, look, he's my quarterback and he plays at a really high level. And there was a couple of expletives that were used to just put a fine point on how much he was backing his quarterback. And everybody has said something very similar on the team, right? Sam deserves this. And Sam, I think it has been a matter of processing the game a little bit faster. And you can see that over the course of the year. Early on, where you might have been trying to force something in there, you couldn't afford to do that against the Rams. I mean, he had a number of turnovers. I think it was 7 against the Rams this year. And then you go into that NFC Championship game. You don't turn the ball over. You don't put it in harm's way. You come out with, a close win. And I think that right there, the way that he handled that game, the way that he opted for a couple of the safer reads. There was one point he took a sack. And you're like, man, that's a bummer, except you live to fight another down and you didn't put yourself in a bad position and, give the Rams a short field. So we've seen that all year long. It's not that he wasn't capable, but look, as Mike McDonald says, people are allowed to get better. You are allowed to grow and mature in your career. And so I understand that if you are a Jets fan, you're never going to see Sam Darnold the same way. I understand the comments that are coming out of Minnesota. I understand. And what I would say is just look at how you are allowed to get better as a human being. And Sam has done the exact same thing on the football field.
When you look at JSN, how do you expect the Patriots to because I saw him, the Rams really didn't have an answer. Like he lines up everywhere, right? You can't necessarily have one guy on him. So how do you expect the Patriots to defend him?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to end up doing that. And to be honest, I need to do a little bit more studying on how they prefer to run that defense. Here's the thing about JSN. Last year, he led all wide receivers from yardage when he lined up as the slot receiver. This year, he led all wide receivers in yardage when he lined up outside. So to your point, he's going to line up all over the field, and that is what makes him really good, in addition to the fact that he's got phenomenal body control, and he does not give a hint that the ball is coming his way until it lands in his hands. What's interesting about the Rams is they had kept him in check in the previous two matchups, and then he was able to find plenty of yards on the field last week. I would also point to the fact that Rashid Shaheed played a pretty big role in loosening up the Rams defense early, and the run game has been more effective. And the way that they have used Ken Walker in the screen game has also helped to open up those things. I don't think it's a matter of just JSN. You know, if you only have one thread, it's pretty easy to take away one thread. You do have a number of playmakers, and Clint Kubiak has done a fantastic job at mixing up play calling and making sure that there's a number of guys to account for on the field.
Jen, is there, you know, the New England coach there as a player and as a coach? He's won as a player, going there as a coach. You know, we talked about Sam Darnold and all the challenges that he's had throughout his career, and you got Drake May, a young quarterback. Is there one team that maybe has a slight advantage with experience?
Well, you know, that is interesting. So there's been 3 Seahawks players who have played in a Super Bowl previously. There are 5 Patriots players who have played in a Super Bowl previously. And I do think that there is a little bit of that, right? You know, Mike McDonald, this is going to be a first for him. I get that. I also think there's a little bit of an advantage to the Seahawks in that it's a West Coast game. This is a stadium they're very comfortable in. They play here once a year. None of this, you know, where you're practicing or where you're staying feels different to you. It all feels like, okay, well, we were just here, you know, a couple of weeks ago. I do think it'll be interesting. I think situational football is going to tell us a lot. And I happen to know that the Patriots and the Seahawks have 2 of the best in the league when it comes to the guys on the inside who are responsible for those situations and practicing those. So I do think it comes down to that. And I am certain that Mike Vrabel is giving his guys some insight that is going to be very helpful. And I'm also certain that Mike McDonald isn't going to change what he has done up to this point. And so he's going to rely on the consistency of the messaging, the practices, the routines, and a couple of vets who have been there before to kind of set the tone.
Jen, it should be a great game. It'll be a fun week leading up to it. Enjoy Media Day. Do you have a special outfit planned? Are you going to wear something crazy?
You know, actually, tonight I just want to blend in. I think I actually just want to blend in and watch the circus unfold. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Circus is a good way to put it, because there will be there's a few clowns there for sure. Awesome.
There's some people watching.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Enjoy it, Jen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Talk to you guys later.
There you go. That's Jen Mueller joining us from Seattle, where the Seahawks. There is something true about that. Like, it's a stadium they play at every year, right? So that's not going to be anything new to them. You know, it's in their time zone that they're used to all year long. There's a lot of reasons why I like this game for Seattle.
Yeah, I think anytime you can, any advantage and any type of comfort you're going into a big game with, you're going to try and take advantage of. So I'm hoping, I don't know who's going to win, or obviously none of us do. I mean, I just hope it's a close game, right? It's, you know, those games that always go down to the wire are always kind of fun and more entertaining, especially, you know, because we all decide to get around people and stuff like that. So it makes it fun. Looking forward to it.
Quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more football. Lots of big news to get to on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The way you touch that thermostat, it really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Wanna play your favorite song where we turn the heating on like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order noodle at noodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. and oodle-oodle-doodle.ca. Oodle-doodle.
You know what would be even better than winning gold?
Okay, I'll bite.
Winning a gold medal made of Wilhock beef jerky.
Athletes do get hungry, and they could use a snack on the podium. I think I'll start a petition.
Really?
No. Now pass the Wilhock and turn up the games.
For a truly Canadian snack to cheer on our truly Canadian athletes, you need Wilhock beef jerky, made with Alberta pride right here in Leduc.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Hot coffee, hotter takes, and the sports stories that matter. Check out Kevin Carrion weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440. Be part of the conversation. 833-401-1440.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Planning your next event? Let Loca Quality Market cater. From made-to-order meals to gourmet platters to full chef tasting experiences, they make entertaining effortless. Visit loca.ca to start planning today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
This is Sports 1440, where Edmonton talks sports.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Here's Jason Gregor.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
.326, welcome back. Gregor, Brown, Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely Monday afternoon, 6 days away from Super Bowl. We are less than that away from the Olympics. Opening ceremonies begins on Friday. And, well, there's actually some, I think they like the mixed curling. There's some events actually get going in before then. So, we'll be following it. Should be very entertaining. Of course, hockey, but not just the hockey, man. We're a sports day. We love all the sports, like ski cross, snowboard cross, short track, speed skating. Hell, I remember like very avidly watching biathlon and just, like get in anything, man. Which is a sport. I love it. I love the Olympics. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Can't wait to see how it all goes down. And funny enough, the next Summer Olympics will actually have football, flag football involved. And, CFL players are going. Some NFL players will be going. So that should be another added interesting wrinkle for the 2028 Olympics, as it's time now to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, where you want to take action on your savings, don't hesitate, because if you've been thinking about wanting to get solar for your home or your commercial building, don't hesitate. Lots of grants you can get. You can get some interest-free loans through the government and more, and you can start seeing the savings in less than 6 years. So check it out, actionelectrical.net, as John Hodge from 3 Down Nation joins us, and the unofficial start of free agency. The negotiating window started yesterday, and lots of teams weren't wasting time getting some contracts agreed to. I know they're not official, but let's be honest, they're as official as they can be. You'd kind of have to be somewhat of a clown player or agent, I think, to agree to one contract with the team, and then suddenly to agree to someone else at that point. Usually you would have done your due diligence because you agreed to it at that time. So John, when you look at all the signings or agreements, I guess we'll call it, so far, which one or two do you like best early on, and why?
Well, I'll touch on the official part of it. Yes, these are not official, but I mean, I think over the half decade they've been doing this now, the normal rate at which people back out of deals is about one a year. So like most of these are going to stick. I just say that for any fans who might be, on pins and needles going, oh, is this deal going to hold? Is that deal going to hold? These deals are overwhelmingly going to hold. Again, there's usually about one that doesn't, and the rest all do. But as for my favorite signings, I mean, I'll throw Coulter Woodmansee to the Edmonton Elks here. I thought that the Edmonton Elks really, really struggled at right guard last season. And Woodmansee he's the type of all CFL offensive lineman that is darn near impossible to get on your team unless you draft them, right? And Woodmansee is originally a GTA guy. He played 5 seasons for the Tiger Cats. So to get him out to Edmonton, I think they paid him a boatload of money. But still, I mean, Ed Hervey talks at length about how important both sides of the trenches are for him. And to make that signing, I think, is a testament to that for him and to get that deal done. The other signing I'll say I like is, and maybe I'm biased because I played O-line, not at a high level, but I'm a former O-lineman, Jarrell Broxton in Winnipeg. I mean, the Bombers made a huge mistake, I thought, a couple of years ago, letting Jamarcus Hardrick go. He was named the league's most outstanding offensive lineman with the Grey Cup winning Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2025. And I think this is the Bombers' way of saying, look, first of all, we get to pick BC's pocket and pick up Broxton, but also kind of right a wrong in letting Hardrick go.
Looking at Elks Nation, they signed wide receiver Joe Robustelli. Got an interesting story. He quit at the age of 14 because he was only 4'11". Obviously, he's a lot bigger now. What can you tell us about him and his game?
Yeah, definitely an interesting story. A bit of a late bloomer. He's 28, went to Tusculum College, which I believe is a D2 program, same one that D. Alford went to, now with the Atlanta Falcons, but was all CFL with the Bombers back in, I think it was 21. Robustelli, I mean, he was a rotational guy for most of last year with the Riders, 38 catches, 544 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did not play the Grey Cup. He sat. The Riders chose to start Canadian there in a Joe instead of Robustelli. But to me, it's a really nice signing, and just from a depth perspective, right? And I think that was something that the Elks struggled with offensively in 2025 was, okay, rounding out that receiving core with some talented Americans, right? I like Keon Julian Grant as a deep threat. They've obviously just recently added Austin Mack, who's going to be the number 1 target in that offense. But I mean, there were times last year where it felt like Cody Fajardo was throwing the ball to, just a bunch of guys, right? I don't want to sound disrespectful. There are some solid receivers, but still, like you just needed to do a little more there. And so to get Austin Mack in as your number 1, you've still got Keon Julian Grant as kind of your top Canadian guy. And to me, Robustelli is one of those role players who can fill in, and who knows, maybe he'll reach new heights and end up being 1,000-yard guy as kind of a late bloomer in that system.
Looking at the O-line position, give me your thoughts on Bordner, Woodmansee, and Murray, the 3 signings for the Elks.
Well, this is really interesting. So Martez Ivey, I thought, was the best offensive lineman in the CFL in 2024, holding it down at left tackle. I thought he was just okay at best last year. And at right tackle, I mean, the Brett Boyko, again, has played really well at times as a ratio-breaking Canadian. I thought he was just okay last year. So the Elks, of course, partway through last year, brought in Carter O'Donnell after a 5-year run in the NFL. I've been led to believe the plan was to kick him out to right tackle this year. However, the team still has Brett Boyko. They've just paid Coulter Woodmansey a ton of money. He's going to start along that interior, and I think he has to start with David Beard and Mark Cordy being the other two, because Cordy and Beard are also making good money. So if you're starting 4 Canadians, that means you've got Ivy still at left tackle. You've now added Brendan Bordner, who is a left tackle with the Ticats, and you've added Jordan Murray. And the Ticats, believe it or not, sat Brendan Bordner partway through last season, benched him to start Murray at left tackle. So right now, the Elks have 3 veterans, all of whom have extensive experience at left tackle, 2 of whom played with each other last year and were not only on the same team, but one actually was benched in favor of the other. Now, obviously, the tie to the Ticats is Ed Hervey and a bunch of that personnel department who were in Steeltown a few years ago when guys like Woodmansey were drafted and Bordner and Murray were brought up to the Canadian Football League. So there's ties there between Hervey and Spencer Zimmerman and Spencer Bohm and a bunch of guys who are in that personnel department. But certainly Ed Hervey has decided that casting a wide net on the offensive line is best. They've got 3 experienced American left tackles. They've got a couple of Canadians who are going to be duking it out at right tackle, and 3 really solid guys on the interior, plus some draft picks that they like. So they've got some tough decisions ahead because, you might be able to bring them all to camp, but financially you're not going to be able to keep them all come the start of the regular season.
Well, I wondered if the signing, was maybe facilitating a potential trade is what I was wondering. Maybe. I know the trading offensive linemen who are Americans doesn't happen often, but it has happened beforehand. And Woodmansey, I know he can play center or guard, but he's a better guard.
Yeah, I would agree. He mostly played center last year. One thing I'll add here to my reporting here, Jason, is I do not believe, at least a reliable source led me to believe, Ivy did not receive an off-season roster bonus. So he's somebody who's set to make starting left tackle money in 2026. However, does not get any of that money until the regular season starts, or at least he reports to training camp. So theoretically, the team could move on from him without penalty, or if as you said, the team chose to trade him, you could potentially trade him without having any of his kind of dead money on your book, so to speak, if you're Edmonton. So definitely interesting because the Elks are loaded up at a position where, a lot of teams need help.
Cody Fajardo took over from Trey Ford, and now they brought in Taylor Powell. How do you feel like that combination? Do you feel more confident going into the season with them?
Well, I think one of the nice things is that Taylor Powell plays the game, I think, quite similarly to Cody Fajardo, right? Like neither of these guys are Trey Ford caliber athletes at this point of their career, but neither guy are statues back there, right? Taylor Powell's got some athleticism. Cody Fajardo still has some athleticism. Not as fast as he once was by his own admission, but can still make some plays with his legs. But I think the thing I really like is Edmonton needs to get back to the playoffs, right? They've missed the playoffs every single year since coming back from the pandemic. That's not acceptable. And that's reflected, of course, in crowds staying away. And so as this club is looking to bring people back with the new ownership that's come in and obviously a new coaching staff with Mark Killam last year, right? They've kind of set this foundation. And I think having a guy like Powell who maybe doesn't have as high of a ceiling as Trey Ford, but certainly has a higher floor than Trey Ford could be a right step, right? Like we all know Cody Fajardo is super consistent, right? Doesn't have the biggest arm, but makes good decisions with the football, right? Limits the turnovers and can win you a game, right? When things are on the line late. I think Taylor Powell is very similar, right? We haven't seen him play a lot since he was a rookie in 2023, but he's been developing in Hamilton where Scott Milanovich has, historically done a brilliant job with quarterback. Scott Milanovich, back in the day while Ricky Ray was his starter, developed Zach Collaros and Trevor Harris, guys who have now gone on to both be, Grey Cup MVPs. Collaros has won MOPs multiple times. Like they've had great careers. So I'm interested to see what Taylor Powell looks like when he gets a shot. And again, I don't think his ceiling is as high as Trey Ford's if Trey Ford would have maximized his ability. But we also, during Trey Ford's tenure at Edmonton, saw some really rough starts from him. And so I think Taylor Powell is a guy who, again, can't maybe reach the peak of what Trey Ford could become, but has a lower floor, right? Has a better, kind of more stable game. And I think that's good for a team that's looking to get back to the playoffs for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, 100%. They got their receiver earlier in Austin Mack. They got their rush end that they wanted. Do you see any other positions that Green and Gold will look at?
I mean, they lost to Vaughn Bynum on the back end, and so maybe defensive back. Maybe there's another value signing at receiver, a guy they could bring in. But other than that, I think this team has done good work. I mean, we've talked at length about the offensive line, defensive line. Yes, Malik Carney, one of the top pass rushers in the league. And I also think people need to start talking about Noah Curtis. Noah Curtis is a Canadian I thought was brilliant for this team in 2024. Missed all of 2025 due to a torn ACL, but he'll be back. And I think that lessens the blow of losing a guy like Jake Serezna, who, was hurt for most of 2025 and had a down year as a result. But this team has a lot of good young players that flashed last year. I mean, Brock Mogensen is, I think, an exciting player in the linebacking core. Joel DeBlanco ended up leading this team in tackles as a Canadian. And then on the back end, I mean, guys like Kenneth Logan Jr., guys like J.J. Ross. There's some good young pieces in the secondary. Shaylin Garnes, another one. So I think that this team has done a good job of addressing the weaknesses, maybe in some areas of the roster. But I also think there are some guys who maybe aren't household names yet, but are worth getting excited about just based on what they did the last half of the 2025 season.
So you talked about the importance of the Elks getting back to the playoffs. Do you feel like Ed Hervey did a good job in what he's done to this point?
Yeah, I think he has, right? I mean, it's tough to go out and get top offensive linemen, whether, especially if you don't draft them. Like, that's often the time to get your Canadian offensive linemen who are elite, and he's done that now with Woodmansey through free agency. I think quarterback depth was a big one. He's addressed that with Powell. The receiving core was a huge need. He's done that with Austin Mack, Joe Robustelli. They haven't really replaced Curly Gittins Jr. That's a spot that maybe if they want to play two Canadian receivers, that could be addressed. But also, the team doesn't have to play two Canadian receivers, right? DeBlanco is going to start as a linebacker. I would think Curtis is going to start as a D tackle. If you're going to start four Canadians on the O-line, obviously Tyrell Ford should be starting at a corner spot. Like, they've got the ratio flexibility to do a whole bunch of different things. So, I mean, there's always work to be done when you're coming off a 7-win season. I don't think anybody's going to be picking the Elks preseason to win the West Division. So I suppose in that regard, there's always work to be done, but yeah, I think ultimately this personnel group has done a good job in Edmonton, and I'm excited to see if the pieces gel come the start of the regular season.
Always interesting offseason. John, appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime.
There you go. That's John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. Got a lot of time. Hey, guys, don't the Elks spend big every year and then it never works? And how are they cap compliant? Oh, yeah, they're always cap compliant. Last year, they did spend big on the D-line. And due to injuries of Serezna and Smith, it did not work out. This year, Mac got a pretty decent contract as a receiver. And obviously, on the D-line, Malik Carney, they definitely, paid him kind of what it was going to get worth. He was ranked probably the best pass rusher that was available. Well, not probably. I think he was easily the best pass rusher available. And now you got to come in. He's got to stay healthy for sure. But, like Robbie Smith's got a different contract this season for them. Maybe he'll be better. They got some young guys on the D-line that will definitely help out. But yeah, free agency, if you're spending too much in free agency in any sport, rarely is it cashing in for you. Right? You can get some guys, like one or two, that'll help. And like could Austin Mack come here and be pretty good? Yeah, because they don't have a number one receiver. So that'll definitely help. But in a lot of cases, you don't see the top teams, because they've got a good core nucleus, going out there and blowing their brains out in free agency. It's usually the teams that are not that good that are trying to improve. And that's obviously it's not a long-term one. If you are smart with it, then yes. And the good news in the CFL is you rarely, you don't get, there's not a lot of pain, because rarely are you signing guys for longer than 2 years. right? Maybe 3. So it's not, okay, geez, it's big ticket and he has one good year and then the next year's kind of average. And then the third year is the last year of his deal. Then you're kind of out of it. The pain is the NHL where you sign guys for 7 or 8 years. And you're like, oh my God, 2 years in and we're having instant regret. So that's the only advantage to the CFL is, sometimes your free agents are 1-year deals, like a Jake Ceresna, right? He was a 1-year deal. They paid big, didn't work out. They move on.
Well, isn't it too, it seems like, is it the bonuses or something that GMs, like they have the ability to get out before they actually even have to pay them?
Yeah, well, your bonus will come in, like a lot of players will have their salary in their contract, this 2-year deal. And the second year, your bonus kicks in on February 1st. Right. So like, it's not much different than in the NHL. Guys will sign a contract, right? The regular season ends in April. Your bonus comes in July, but your contract's secured. You can't get out of it. That's the only difference. It's just in the CFL, because you don't have guaranteed contracts, you can release a player at any point.
So everyone gets a bonus?
No, not everyone. Some guys don't, because it's, sometimes the bonus can work against you if you don't have a great year and the team's like, well, geez, let's just release him now because before the bonus, or they wait. Because the other time you can at least come back to camp and have a chance to compete. That's right. So yeah, it's different. It's, players don't like it for sure. No question. Right. Yeah. But it's definitely more of a, you play well, you get paid. You don't play well, you don't get paid.
That is tough,
right? Yeah. Oh, it's harder for sure.
Because you want the bonus to get to know you're going to get some money. Mm-hmm. But if that's not guaranteed, that's a tough league.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, some guys will just, like, you'll both get $200K, but one guy might get $60K on February 1st. The other guy's $200K just starts throughout the year.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a good year, it doesn't really matter. So, but you can try to negotiate it for teams. Like, I don't love it, to be honest, that, if you sign a card, to me, I would have it, hey, here's his bonus. And the reason why they do it is if you pay your bonus, now that counts towards your cap. And then if you release the player during the year, now you paid him $60,000 out of $120,000 contract, 50% of it is still on your books, right? So that's why they do it. Right? And I could wonder sometimes, like, if I'm a player, just give me a smaller bonus. Right? I get $10,000 or 15, whatever it is. And it might increase. No, but then you get your base. What's the difference of a 60, right? If you're getting $200, $200,000, let's say, as a contract. If I have a 60,000 of that as a bonus, I'm more likely they come up, $60,000. But if they see a $10,000, well, we can pay a $10,000 bonus because we think and now we're going to keep the guy. Like, I think there are players who get released simply because their bonus, not because they're not good enough to be on the team, because they're like, maybe had a little bit of a tough year and the guy could bounce back easily. But because he has such a high bonus, he doesn't. Right now, he goes and signs somewhere else. But usually, when he signs somewhere else, he gets a lesser of a contract. Not always, but some cases.
Safe to say, those guys are probably renting when they come here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Very true. Very true. Quick break. We'll return. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll come back. We got 5 questions, and we got Kipro, Spector, Holt, Tate, all coming up in the final 2 hours of the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 furnace replacement company for lovers. Because the best aphrodisiac is no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy. So forget about the oysters, baby. If you really want to check the heat, we can be a thermal couple, baby. Give me your sweet loving legacy. Heat things up with no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense. Craving a dining experience that rises above the rest? Head to Summit Restaurant in the Silent Ice Center, just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Savor exceptional house-made pizza, delectable entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails in a stylish, modern atmosphere. Perfect for a casual meal or a special night out. Summit offers a refined experience where every bite and sip reflects our dedication to quality. Elevate your dining experience. Make Summit Restaurant your destination tonight.
Hey, hon,
I'm getting expressions and images to frame my hockey card collection in the man cave.
Perfect. I'll come with you and bring our wedding photos.
For sports memorabilia and family treasures, think Expressions and Images, your local custom framer since 91. You name it, we frame it.
Made for some rough roads, but it means trails are now packed and ready for action. Don't miss out on riding adventures this winter with a Ski-Doo from Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. Work or play with new 2026 Generation 5 models with class-leading design and power. And right now, take advantage of 5.99% financing OAC. Only at Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. 15 Inglewood Drive in St. Albert. And always at riversidehonda.com. Shop local, shop Canadian.
The new double cheesy melt at McDonald's. We're talking 2 juicy, mouth-watering 100% Canadian beef patties, 2 slices of cheesy goodness, with even more melty, cheesy sauce on top. Topped with pickles, then crispy and grilled onions. The way it all comes together, you don't just eat it, you melt into it. The double cheesy melt, only at McDonald's. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
If you're selling a vehicle, Sherwood Honda really wants to get your goat. We mean greatest offer of all time. Consign with Sherwood Honda, and they can sell your vehicle for you. All breeds, makes, and models, not just Hondas. You can let Sherwood Honda lock horns with those tough negotiators, and you'll reach the interested buyers that flock to Sherwood Honda every day. Sherwood Honda's the GOAT of selling vehicles, including yours. So someone Sherwood...
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get 3 large specialty pizzas for only $54.99. Perfect for game night. Use promo code 3LG at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.49. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440. Brownie, one day you're going to have to tell that story on the air. Whew, mama, that is a classic minor hockey story. Not for air today, but maybe in the future. We shall see.
It's in my minor hockey book. I'm at like chapter 5.
You might have to write it. Seriously, you should, man. That'd be down the road. That'd be unbelievable because it is. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me right now. Oh, too funny stuff. Wild to say the least. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. You can save up to 25% off bedroom, dining, and fireplaces right now. And you can get a modern queen fabric bed, 2 styles for only $299 at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. What do you think the next few months will hold for Oilers goaltender, Condors goaltender, Calvin Pickard?
There's got to be some frustration, for him. I mean, he's only done exactly what he was brought here to do as far as back up Skinner, go to Game 7 with the Oilers. Great teammate. I'm sure he's got to be frustrated clearing waivers. Was it Bakersfield? Probably try not to beat himself up. Try to continue to play. You never know with injuries. I mean, Jari. Hopefully nothing happens to him, but it is a sport where players do get hurt. So I'm sure his biggest focus is to continue to keep his game at the highest level. And if there's a chance, he's going to be ready for an opportunity again.
Yeah, I see him staying on the roster. for the next few days. Then he'll go on his planned holiday with his family, like everybody else on the team. Then he'll come out of the Olympic break, and then he'll be, unless there's an injury, then he'll be reassigned to Bakersfield. And you know what? Probably split duties with Matt Tompkins would be my guess, and then finish out the season there, or wait and see if there's an injury recall. The other possibility would be if another team gets into injury trouble. You never know if someone calls, but they'd have to be into injury trouble before the trade deadline. So you got about 10 days. Otherwise, I think he'll probably just play there and then maybe get a recall to be up with the team in the playoffs.
I think there's a chance he gets loaned out. Can you get loaned out in the American Hockey League?
To another team?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think if somebody got loaned out, it'd probably be Unger over him. Just because,
Really?
Well, veteran experience, you know how it is.
Really?
You think it would be the other way?
I think it would be the other way. I think
Okay.
when you have a prospect and someone that's up and coming that could potentially be, a big part of your team,
Yeah.
I'm keeping him in the organization and I'm playing him and I'm giving him opportunity. I think that's the one thing as a veteran when you're down in the American Hockey League, you go from prospect to suspect, right? It's on to the new thing and new potential and the younger guy.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I'd be surprised. I think they'll kind of treat him with as much veteran respect as you can. I'm not saying that's right, but that's what I think.
Yeah.
Question number 2, the tampering window open in CFL free agency. Was there a move that stood out to you, good, bad, or otherwise?
I don't know. I guess I'll go with the Trey Ford. We all knew things weren't going to work out for him here with the Elks, but nice to see that he found a landing spot there with was it Hamilton Tiger Cats there. So
Yeah.
hopefully, he's got lots of upside. Everyone talks about his athleticism and potential, and hopefully he can kind of put all that together.
Ford to me, yeah, that's the one that stood out. Which one stood out? Well, Malik Carney was highly rated as a D lineman to go get. So, you can one of the best free agents available, right? So I guess I got to go with him. Like you're getting, and that's of any position. I think he was ranked second by a lot of people as far as best free agent available. And now to be good on the D line, you need help, right? Like sometimes you need your secondary guys to help you and get a cover sack. Other times you're going to need your interior D lineman to maybe force and have to take a double team. So there's lots of factors that go into it. But I liked how Edmonton's D line ended last season. So I think hopefully he can come in here and maybe kind of be the leader, but you'll need some other help there. But I'll say him because the Elks didn't get the impact from their D line last year of their big name signing guys. So they'll have to get it this year.
I'm excited about this Joe Robustelli. Like
you just like his storyline, don't you?
Yeah, like who just quits at 14 because
Well,
they're
he was-
small, and then 26. I think I'm ready now. Like that's
But-
pretty amazing.
Like developing sport.
Yeah,
right?
what an athlete
Yeah.
that is. Like,
Yeah.
what was he doing?
Well, he must have played other sports in that point. Right?
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah. We'll have to get him on. Maybe was he running track? Was he doing? He had to be doing something in between then, right?
Yeah.
Big now too, like 6'3", 220.
For all those late bloomers out there, young kids. that
Yeah,
are,
there you go, buddy.
You never know when you're gonna hit your stride.
Question number 3 for you guys. Trotz looks like he's going to move on from the Nashville Predators, but hang around for a little while, obviously get him through the deadline and look for the next person to take over the position. Is there anyone that stands out to you that you think would be a good hire as the GM of the Nashville Predators?
That's a tough one because it's going to be short term. I mean, that's kind of bizarre that.
Well, he's going to
Barry Trotz-
finish out kind of this year. He's going to stay, and then they're going to he's going to run everything here. So I think if they're wise, you wait till the offseason to hire because then you can have all the best candidates.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe over the Olympic break he was gonna, stick around for a little bit and bring someone in.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Brian Burke for a short term. Maybe that changes now, and Berkey's getting a little bit older.
Yeah.
He is getting older, but Berkey would be a guy. I love those guys. I love those hard, honest guys that have those awkward conversations, but they got your back, right? They're like player coaches or player GMs. He just seemed like a guy that lots of guys have a lot of respect for, the way he conducts, how he handles himself, how he treats guys. So yeah, I was thinking short term. I'm not sure about long term.
Guys I would look at, Only because I see the success. Like you look at some management trees, Cons, in football, and you look and say, the Tampa Bay, look at what Matthew Darsh has done with the Islanders. So I'd probably, I would want to interview Jamie Pusher for sure, who's been in Tampa Bay as their AGM and director of player personnel for a while. So big defenseman, right,
big
for the
tough
Wings. So
defenseman.
he would be one. Ryan Bonus in Ottawa, right? A lot of experience being assistant GM for some time, right? If I'm Nashville, when I look at the success of some of the younger guys that the teams have brought in, I'd be interested in him as well. That's trying to think, like, is there an older kind of retread? I would probably stick away with that. So I'm going to go with some younger guys.
I like it. Question number 4. Jays are commemorating Joe Carter's walk-off home run with a statue. If you could recommend any player moment to get a statue, any sport, any market, what do you think would be done next?
Well, I'll be honest. To be a statue, like, it's got to be something like massive. Either like you look at the statues of Roberto Clemente in Pittsburgh, Wayne Gretzky in Edmonton, like guys who were like massive figures to your team, right? So that would be one. But if you're just going to go like a player or moment, like Joe Carter's moment was literally win you a championship moment. It's hard to do that. Like, I guess if you had a game 6 or game 7 overtime goal by a guy who did it, then, you know, maybe you could do that. Trying to think of a player recently that I would want. Like, there's no active ones because I'm like, hey, their career's not over and they can still do something better. But I'm trying to think of a team that doesn't have much. Like, can I do it as a joke?
Sure.
Because like I know that like I'd love that, you know, they talk about it all. For the team that has won the least, they get talked about the most in the Maple Leafs. So, you know, maybe they should just have like a you know, they should recreate the winning goal from Game 7 when they finally won a playoff series. Right?
Yeah,
maybe Matt Sundin, because that's when they won 2 playoff series.
Yeah, but as an organization, they've had a ton of success, right? They've won a lot of cups.
Yeah, I know, but not since like
recent-
67.
yeah,
Like, back when you only had 6 teams, when it was easier to win.
Oh, really?
Well, it was. Just look at the odds, right? There's 6 teams. You only have to win 2 rounds. Well, technically 1 year was 3. But.
I'll go with I was watching on Netflix there. They had that free solo. And the guy that climbed that building in Taipei, like that is, did you watch that at all? That was like,
I watched.
It was all over Twitter.
Oh yeah, no, I watched it. I can't remember what day it was, but I got into it at first. I was like, well, all right, I'll watch it. And then you just kind of get sucked into it. Just like,
because he could die.
Oh my God. Like obviously the guy has boatloads of experience, right? It's not just like one day he woke up, you're only going to climb, but still you're literally one wrong move can cost you.
From death.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy. My feet were sweating. I was getting antsy. And I was just once you tune in, you're kind of like, I got to see this play out. So yeah, anyone that does something like that is just, you know, you were wired different. You're special. So
should watch his movie Free Solo.
That's the one I've seen that one. And then when he climbed that building in Taipei was just like crazy to think that, you know, what about the debris and the dust when you're grabbing onto ledges? The cool thing too is they did a little segment on him when he was training and he's doing pull-ups like with his fingertips, you know, like his body, like his strength and ability to, you know, his body weight was just incredible.
Yeah. Well, he's not you couldn't be a big guy and do that, right? Because physically you couldn't move yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just mentally, like even when he climbs up and he, you know, each level that he climbed up, you'd stand there and look down. Like I could not imagine being.
He's got no fear of heights.
No fear.
Like Brandon, you'd pass out right there.
Like what? That's just crazy to me. My wife, when we were at Palm Springs, and if anyone's been there and done the bump and grind, you ever done that?
No.
In Palm Springs, so it's a pretty.
I've done the bump and grind, but just not in Palm Springs.
So anyway, we did it, and the first day I went up, I got probably about a quarter, and then the next day I was like, Wendy, let's try it again. I think I'm ready to go the rest of the way. And so we went halfway, and I got halfway, and I sat there and I stopped. I think the problem was that I stopped because my wife was a little bit tired. And so as she's getting her breath, I looked around and I was like, holy jumping, are we high? And then this other couple came up and she started talking about her anxiety and nerve. And as soon as I heard that, I don't suffer from anxiety or anything like that. But I'm telling you,
You couldn't breathe.
My joints in my knees and my arms and my body just started going like jello. I couldn't move. And then finally, like Wendy was like, I just started making my way back down the mountain. And Wendy was yelling at me, being like, what are you doing? I couldn't even talk. I had to go down. It was unbelievable. So to think of this guy, climbing mountains and climbing buildings with, no attachments or anything like that just is mind blowing to me.
Final question for you guys today. It's Groundhog's Day, which of course was also a movie in 1993 with Bill Murray. What is your favorite movie based around a holiday or annual event?
I'll go with, we watched it over Christmas, Daddy's Home with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. I thought that was kind of a funny, if anyone's seen that, I thought that was a pretty funny Christmas movie, holiday movie.
Around a holiday or an annual event. Well, if it's my favorite movie just around holidays, I really like Love Actually. I like that movie, so I'd probably go with that one. But funny movies.
Love Actually?
Yeah, Love Actually. It's a very good movie.
Is that a romantic one?
Yeah, it's pretty
That's where you're doing the bumping and grinding? Now it makes sense.
There you go, Brownie. Figure it out. 1 + 1 = 2. And but Groundhog Day was quite funny. But the best Bill Murray is Kingpin. Right? His character in Kingpin and his hair is unreal. It's not really around a holiday event per se, but that might be my favorite Bill Murray character ever. Cons?
Ernie McCracken.
Yeah.
Good movie. I'll just say simply Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Spawned a huge franchise as well, but the original on Halloween.
And Josh had a text that's actually very true. What about Kawhi Leonard, the shot? Valid. That shot would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that one? Like Leaf fans would be all upset the fact that the news statue isn't even about their team, but it's about the team that won the championship. And that moment, that shot, like the bounce and the weight, is out of play. It was that was actually a good one, Josh. Kudos to you. Yeah. Good pull. Brownie, have yourself a lovely Monday. We will chat with you next week, talking all things Olympics and more. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Loca. You want to eat better? Eat easier? Well, guess what? Loca Quality Markets, they have over 200 chef-prepared meals. You can buy them in-store in Sherwood Park or Edmonton or online, meals.loca.ca. Order today.
The Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers plays goals under Calvin Pickard today. He cleared waivers after going 5-6-2 in 16 appearances this season. The team also signed defenseman Atro Lepin into a 1-year, 2-way contract through the 2027 season. And Barry Trotz retiring as GM of the Nashville Predators after just 3 years on the job. He will stay with the team through the deadline and until they find a successor. In the NHL tonight, you got the Flames and the Maple Leafs Canucks taking on the Mammoths, Avs, Coast, the Red Wings, Jets, and Dallas. Blues and those Preds, Wild host Canadiens, Sens in Pittsburgh. And the Panthers up against the Sabres in the association early today. Hornets knocked out the Pelicans 102-95. Later on, you got the Pacers and the Rockets, Timberwolves in Memphis, and the Clippers hosting the 76ers. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. And we hear from members of the Oilers. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Make your game day feast better with Papa John's. Create a mouth-watering pizza lineup with buffalo chicken, all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, or create your own pizza possibilities. Now through Sunday, February 8th, get 25% off pizzas at regular menu price with the promo code Big Game at any location in Alberta. Order at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app with promo code BIGGAME. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Ooh, girl, the way you touch that thermostat, it really turns me on. Like a heat exchanger, sensual phenomenon. Wanna play your favorite song while we turn the heat on like a legacy of love.
Legacy Heating and Cooling keeps your Valentine sizzling hot. You can afford to shower your Valentine with affection because Legacy offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. And that's how you build your legacy of love. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
It only comes once a year.
Aw, Valentine's Day.
What? No, from the top. It only comes once a year.
Oh, here we go. The Rock and Bowl Super Party, only at On the Rocks.
Join host Ryan Jesperson on Sunday, February 8th.
Just after 3 o'clock.
Football party in Edmonton.
Your $30 ticket includes
All you can eat buffet.
Maybe it's because
Pre-game Miller Lights and entry to all prizes, including
$1,000 cash.
the
Brown
Rock and Bowl
House,
Super Party.
Only at On the Rocks.
Book your table today.
On
Final
the
2
Rocks,
hours of Gregor Show presented by
YG.com.
Play Alberta.
These days, it's all about who you know. And that's why it's the perfect time to save at
Jason
the
Gregor.
Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game and score free delivery on TVs over 50 inches, like a Samsung 85-inch 4K Smart TV for just $9.99. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match and save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137th, and downtown near the Ice District.
Measles outbreaks are occurring in Canada, including Alberta. These outbreaks are highly preventable. Measles is an extremely contagious disease that is spread easily through the air. The best way to protect yourself, your family, and your community is to ensure you are up to date with your immunizations. Don't get measles. Get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Looking for the perfect gift? Give the gift of great taste with a Loca Quality Market gift card. Redeemable at any Loca Quality Market or Loca operated restaurant. It's a treat for food lovers. Ready anytime. Grab yours today at loca.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears and tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips, we fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Sick boys and girls, welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. As always, when you're there, the Jason Gregor Show specials. We do have the Seahawks winning. A little extra point spread. We like the Hawks here. We also have some Leafs Flames action tonight, and the Penguins and the Wild. I'm surprised that on home ice tonight, the Penguins are the underdog. Like, the Penguins are rolling. They're the underdog to Ottawa. What the hell's going on? What am I missing here? Is there some injuries I haven't seen today? That seems odd, a little odd to me. So the Penguins are rolling right now. They've won 6 in a row. Now the Sens have won 3 in a row, but still, that's we like. Who knows? Maybe they're right, but kind of like the Pens on home ice tonight. Why not? Stay within your limit. Use your game sense and PlayAlberta.ca. The Edmonton Oilers did skate today, and we're going to get to the oil report now, brought to you by Go Auto. Cars, trucks, SUVs, whichever one you like. they'll have it for you. 76 location, 31 different brands, 15,000 vehicles to choose from at goauto.ca. As we're going to hear from, first of all, here's Matthias Ekholm on the Oilers, and obviously, lately they've been leaking a little bit offensively, right? And just his thoughts on trying to tighten things up defensively.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know it's not been good enough defensively. Obviously, we've been rolling pretty good offensively, and I've been on teams where you've been opposite, where you are pretty good defensively, but you can't seem to find goals, and that's, in my opinion, a lot harder than finding your defense. I think, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying is it's a lot between the ears. I think it's a lot about just putting an emphasis on it, respecting it, knowing that it's hard. It's easy when I feel like a lot of the games lately we've scored 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever and outscore them. And then you're thinking like, well, 1 or 2 or 3 doesn't really matter because we're going to score so many anyways. But it doesn't work that way every night. You saw it in Minnesota or against Minnesota, right? They go ahead early and then it's hard to catch up. It's just what it is. So I think it's a mental thing for us. I think it's just, to a man, we got to emphasize and understand how important it is. And especially, as you said, come playoff time, we've shown it, but it's not like you can push a button when that time comes around. We have 2 more games here. Great opportunity to start it and then get some rest and come back and hopefully figure it out how we know how we want to play. It's a matter of executing.
Yes. Chris said, it's not you're giving up a ton of shots, it's just you're giving up too many grade A chances. Do you see that too? Or
I agree with that 100%. I think we got to try to limit the odd mans, limit the breakaways, and we know if we got to give our goals a chance to see every puck, to not having looks that, I mean, you have somebody backdoor, and if you don't get the shot, it's a pass over for a tap, and it's been way too much of that. So, and it's been like some of the games you come off and you're feeling pretty good about it, but then you think back, it was like 2 instances or 3 instances, but they all led to goals against, and that's what's got to get cleaned up. But some nights you're out there and you're just getting hemmed in and you don't even know how to get out of the D zone. So I don't think that's been the case a lot. I think it's more been, as you said, the quality of looks that we've given up, and obviously we can't have that.
Always it's the goalie. In front of the goalies, it's not always the goalie. There's stuff that happens before it's the goal.
I would go to myself every time. I wouldn't look anywhere else. I think I can do a better job personally. I think we can do a better job as players on this team, excluding the goalies. And if you want to go there, go there. But I think when you have a team that are committed to playing defense in front of them, they're going to show up for you as well.
The Oilers' defensive play has been inconsistent. I don't think there's anybody out there that would disagree on that. Being inconsistent. And a lot of that just comes from needing to commit. I like what Ekholm said. It's between the ears, man. It's between the ears. And Ekholm did have one other comment that I wanted to separate. He also mentioned the reason why maybe at times their defensive game has lacked.
That many games this year to this point than we had last year. It's a lot of hockey. And the toughest part when you play a lot of games is getting emotionally up for every single battle. That's just what it is. It's a human nature. It's the same for everybody though. And some teams seem to be playing pretty good defense. So can't use it as an excuse, but I think it's somewhat of a reason, at least the way I feel about it. It's been a lot of hockey, and it's been tough to get up every single night for the emotional battle, because you can look at the X's and O's of our defense. As long as you don't play with competitiveness, as long as you don't play with that edge, with that, that oomph and physicality, they're gonna run you down.
You know what? I love it. Hey, it's not an excuse. It's just reality, right? It just is. You're not going to have it all. Look at Colorado. Colorado was rolling. And they had a little bit of a funk for 10, 12 games. right? And it's Cale Makar. If you actually watch the Avs, Cale Makar had 4 errors that Oiler fans who hate Bouchard errors would have been freaking out about. Because it happens, right? Guys who handle the puck lots are going to make mistakes. And Makar had a few doozies with the Colorado Avalanche during that kind of short-lived skid. Now, the difference for the Avs is they got back on track and said, okay, Detroit, you ready to go? And we'll spank you. And they did 5-0. Now they play them again. But the Oilers have shown they can play. They got a lot of guys like Darnell Nurse has to play way better, right? Way better. Their top guys lately, David's line, Ekholm, Bouchard, like those guys are all getting outscored 5-on-5 significantly here in the last 5 games, right? Bouchard got outscored 10-8. Ekholm got outscored 10-7. McDavid got outscored 8-5. Draisaitl got outscored 7-4. Hyman 7-4. Wallman 6-2. Nugent Hopkins 6-2. Nurse 5-2. It's not good enough. The only players in their last 5 games that are above 50% goal share, Kasperi Kapanen and Josh Szymanski. Kapanen's been outscoring opposition 4-1. Szymanski's 3-1. Stastny's even. He's the only one even. He's at 2-2. Now, those guys, I get they don't play the other team's top players as much. I understand it. But they're beating the guys they play, and that's all you can ask for. That's who I'm out against, and I'm outperforming. So good. But can Edmonton play better? Yes. Do I think they'll play better? Yes. Do I think that a run of 5 games at the end of January where you allow 25 goals is going to carry over to the playoffs? I do not. There's lots of runway between then. They got 2 games, and they go on break for 3 weeks. And really, it's almost like when you come out of that Olympic break, man, what you did beforehand, other than the points you've earned or not earned, everything else you're kind of starting up again. There's going to be no momentum. There's going to be no carrying over whether you're playing good or bad. You start right over. Maybe someone has a little bit of an injury. Now they come back. They're fully healthy. They feel way better. So it'll be different. So for the Oilers, you got Toronto and Calgary. 2 teams below you in the standings. Toronto's going to be playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, second half of a back-to-back. Beat them. Right? Stop wasting the advantageous scheduling advantages that you've had. Beat them. And then the Calgary Flames, like, come on. Flames have won 4 of their last 14 games. They're not good. You should beat them. Right? Go into the Olympic break feeling great on your trip, sitting on the beach. Hey, we got 68 points. All right, here we go. Right? Because at worst case scenario, if I'm not mistaken, I want to double check this, but I think Vegas has 2 games left, same as the Oilers. So if the Oilers win their 2 games and Vegas wins their 2 games, guess what? They both have same amount of points going into the break. Now Vegas will have 1 game in hand. Right? Yeah, Vegas plays Vancouver Wednesday and the Kings on Thursday. So if the Oilers win their 2 games before, because Vegas, both those games will start later, they will know at worst you'll go into the break tied for first. At worst, you might even be in first place if Vegas doesn't get 4 points. So there's still, if you want to have a small little, motivation, there's your motivation. Simple, easy, straightforward. Find it. That's what they need to do. Let's get to Cam Tate and the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change, no overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca, where you get no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Cam Tate, of course, longtime journalist in town. Cam was born with cerebral palsy, being in a wheelchair. It's never slowed him down. Through the wonders of technology, Cam's dream to be on radio comes to life in the 2-minute warning.
Ever feel like you're the only one in the room raising a hand? That's me today. Not because of my wheelchair, although it does make waving easier, but because I just can't get behind the latest 2-minute warning poll. And hey, that's fine. If we all agreed, hockey talk would be duller than a Zamboni with a dead battery. Here's where I stand, or more accurately, roll. Nice guys don't earn power play time, and being the favorite in the room doesn't mean squat if your save percentage is leaking faster than my coffee mug on a Monday. Sorry, that's just life between the pipes. Let's talk Calvin Pickard. Oilers tossed him on waivers Sunday. My bald head is still recovering from the self-induced scalp massage, scratching for answers, not dandruff, The guy's a glue stick in a sea of glitter, keeps everything and everyone together. With Corey Perry and his suitcase of wisdom gone, who's left to hand out the dad jokes and pep talks? Don't look at me, I only qualify for the jokes. Legendary scribe Jim Matheson dropped a stat last week. Pickard won 7 playoff games last year. Tristan Jarry, 8 playoff games, 2 wins. Connor Ingram in Nashville, 3 games, no wins. If you listen closely, you can hear the calculators sobbing. So I hit Keep Pickard in the X poll. That's Twitter, Gen Z. 78% said wave goodbye. The other 22%? Taters faithful, probably my cousins. Later tonight, a fun Toronto Maple Leaf. Tree. Poll. 2-minute warning. Gregor, Haley, Kruger. I wouldn't put you on waivers. Never. Well, maybe not. That's why I'm just Tater, rolling through on Sports 1440.
I'll disagree here with Tater. If you look at the playoffs, if you want to just, playoff experience helps, yes. Calvin Pickard made 7 starts in the playoffs. 1 game did he allow less than 3 goals. And, he had 1 really good game against the LA Kings. I think he had like a .955 save percentage. He was very good in that game. Lots of the other games faced 17 shots, 18 shots, allowed 4 goals. This is what you did last year at this point. It doesn't always matter. It just doesn't. And you have to remove emotion from your decision making. To me, it was the obvious choice to send, to put Calvin Pickard on. Now he hasn't been sent down. Nothing's changed from yesterday other than now he's eligible to go down without having to wait 24 hours for waivers, right? He'll still be on the team. He'll go on holidays like everybody else. And then, coming out of the Olympic break, they'll make a decision. And he'll likely go down to the minors because you're not going to carry 3 goalies. Doesn't make any sense. And the interesting thing will be what other decisions do the Oilers make at that point? Who are they going to move? Where are they going to go? Because, if Henrique gets activated, Szymanski would go down. But they'd have to also send Szymanski, Pickard, and another player down. Mention Andrew Mangiapane. Now, he has a no-trade clause, but he doesn't have a no-movement clause, which means if you have a no-trade clause, you can't get traded without you agreeing to it, but you can be put on waivers. So that's an option. And that might be the quickest one for them. Now, that doesn't mean that Mangiapane will be stuck in the AHL for the rest of the season. Edmonton would want to probably include him in a trade near the deadline for a team to take him, and then he'd go to that organization and get back in the NHL and then see what he does the next year. But you kind of got to remove emotion from this. And, you can make arguments for some other players to get some looks here in Edmonton. I get it. But some people think success in the AHL automatically guarantees that he'll come to the NHL and have the same success. And it's not always the case, unfortunately, for lots of players. Opportunity, minutes, situational stuff, many different things. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Nick Kyprios to talk all things NHL on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Top quality flooring, locally owned, and Canadian products from Beaulieu. Yeah, that's CFI.
CFI what?
No, CFI. Custom Floors, Inc.
From free estimate to professional installation, contact Custom Floors Inc. at customfloorsinc.ca.
Make your game day feast better with Papa John's. Create a mouth-watering pizza lineup with buffalo chicken, all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, or create your own pizza possibilities. Now through Sunday, February 8th, get 25% off pizzas at regular menu price with the promo code BIGGAME at any location in Alberta. Order at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app with promo code BIGGAME. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Island Rides is one of Alberta's premier specialty charter companies. With our luxury motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation services. Our seatbelt equipped, top-of-the-line motor coaches have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel needs across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact sales at 877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams. Whether it's retirement or your first home, the deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Get the lowdown with Low Tide. Weekdays from noon to 2 on Sports 1440. He's seen it all and then some. From stats to stories, he breaks it down like no one else. Proud to be Edmonton sports leader. Sports 1440.
Make your game day feast better with Papa John's. Create a mouth-watering pizza lineup with buffalo chicken, all the meats, the works, ultimate pepperoni, or create your own pizza possibilities. Now through Sunday, February 8th, get 25% off pizzas at regular menu price with the promo code BIGGAME at any location in Alberta. Order at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app with promo code BIGGAME. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Big guests, bigger takes. Jason Gregor brings the names you know and the stories you don't. Weekdays 2 to 6 on Sports 1440. Don't miss a minute of the action on Edmonton sports leader. Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Or 28, we continue on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province at PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, we will set you up. I have a little fun with some prop bets as the week goes on in for the Super Bowl. There's always some zany ones, some funny ones. I always stay away. I know a lot of people like the Gatorade one. I don't like that one. I never get involved in it. But fun stat for you, Connor Halley. If you're somebody who likes the in-game wagers, did you know, Connor Halley? Do you know the record of the team that wins the coin toss?
No, I certainly don't.
Mm-hmm. The team that wins the coin toss in the previous 59 games, 25-34.
So we're leaning Patriots to win the coin toss?
No, well, no, I guess depends. Maybe Seattle will break it. But yeah, it's just that was an interesting stat to me, right? Because you always, and most teams defer, right? Most teams defer. And maybe, and I'd have to look and say, okay, well, which teams won? Was it always was the underdog winning the coin toss at a much higher rate? I don't know, but I find it that's an interesting stat to me, that the team who wins the coin toss has only won 25 of the first 59 Super Bowls, especially because you seemingly have an early advantage. But sometimes I always wonder, would you want to go first? Why not if you believe in your offense, why not take the ball first? Like, I know they say, yeah, if you defer, then you get the ball to start the second half. Okay, I understand that. And you feel like you want some momentum coming in and everything like that. Because you can end the half with the possession, then you get another one, right? I get the whole theory behind it. I understand it. But I'd like to do a bigger deep dive into that and see if, like, what's the record? Like, is deferring better? Especially if you're seemingly considered the better team. Does deferring, is that a benefit or is that worse? That's where I think it would come into play. So,
are you a heads or tails guy in this situation?
Yeah, I would usually call heads.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So
there's the tails never fails crew, but
yeah,
I go heads.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. So, all right, let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center, just minutes outside of South Edmonton Common. It's your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, expertly crafted cocktails, great place to watch your games and concerts, even curling. They got it all at the Silent Ice Center at Summit. Place we're joined by former NHLer, Stanley Cup winner, now is a host on Sportsnet, born in Kyprios. Of course, Nick Kyprios joins us. Kipper, how you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Jason. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm great. Great. Good to have you on. Lots to talk about now. For fun, if Braden Point can't go, who would you put on the Olympic team?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm a huge Sam Bennett guy. No question. I was surprised, like a lot of other people, that he was excluded, and thought what he needed to do at the Four Nations. We talked about a huge goal. We talked about being there for the team to set a presence when it came to the fighting. He'll find different ways to beat you. So that one was quite a surprise. If Point can't go, I was leaning towards Sam Bennett, but I can't also disregard what Zach Hyman's done since he's been back, and especially with Connor McDavid. And at times it can get tricky in terms of finding instant chemistry with certain guys. And although Connor's the best hockey player in the world, it could be a little tricky for somebody, coming in right away. And just that Zach Hyman connection there, to me, also has him right at the top of the list with a potential substitution for a guy like Braden Point.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating. Also, Brad Marchand maybe now is a question mark. So there might be a few decisions leading up to it, and I can't wait for the Olympics to see the players back together. It should be a lot of fun to watch. I love the Olympics overall.
Jason, just look around the league, man. There's a lot of guys with a lot of health issues moving forward. And how much are they hiding? How much are they truthful? What's going to be left of them after the tournament? What's going to be left for their fan base to push a Stanley Cup narrative? A lot is on the line right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Nick, are obviously not in a situation that they expected to be in at the start of the season. They find themselves currently out of the playoffs by 8 points. Buffalo is in that second wildcard spot, and Buffalo has a game in hand. Like, you try to make up 8 points down the stretch is extremely, extremely difficult, especially when you have to jump over 5 teams to do it. So how much of a seller do you think they will be?
I don't expect them to really be in that situation until I think we see something as early as tonight in Calgary or tomorrow night in Edmonton. And, there's a big difference between missing or losing 2 games going into the break or being on a 3-game winning streak coming off of Vancouver. So we could be just looking at what happens in the next, 24, 48 hours for some hockey clubs. Boston is playing, Buffalo's playing Florida. In about an hour, there'll be a puck drop. What happens there? Where's Florida? Leafs are in the same predicament that the Florida Panthers are in Ottawa, and we know those 2 teams haven't given up on their season. You can argue all day long that Toronto's not as deep as those 2 teams, and they should bail now. And there's been plenty of talk from my show to any other show around the Toronto area that they should just bail. But I don't think they're ready for that. And I don't think we're going to see anything imminent here until we're well off of an Olympic gold medal and teams start reassessing. But I think tonight the Leafs are in it to win it. They'll be in it to win it tomorrow night against Edmonton. And then you see, is it 8 points back? Is it 6 points back? I still think that, there's some tough decisions to be made, but they're not going to be made till after the Olympic break.
Well, and that's totally valid, right? Like you've got time. I know, like for the Edmonton Oilers, for Adam Henrique until he gets activated, they got time to figure out how they'll move their roster. Maybe someone gets hurt, maybe another team trades everybody. Because there's 4 days left before the break. And if a team suddenly loses 2 and the teams are chasing wins 2, all of a sudden you go from 8 points to 12 points or 6 points to 10 points. And now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I guess we're going to trade. So we'll see. If you look at the Leafs, if you had to sum up, like what's led them to this point this season? What has had them in such an underachieving position?
You know what, Jason? I mean, people can look at it and go that, they fell off a cliff in a big hurry, or is it just a 10-year cycle that's come to its, the end? And when I say a 10-year cycle, they started something, from bringing in Morgan Riley with Brian Burke, who was the general manager, right into the stages of Marner, Matthews, or Nylander and Matthews, and they had ample opportunities to build a core or a foundation around this core. And, with Marner leaving and Tavares kind of falling off a little bit naturally, because that tends to happen, and with a guy in his mid-30s, that, I'm not saying that they were destined to go from winning the Atlantic last year to missing the playoffs, but it's what we call the window, and the window in many ways has closed already. Now, can they retool it, as that's the catchphrase for teams that hate to think that they're going to miss the playoffs for the next 5 or 6 years, like Philadelphia or even Edmonton has in the past? That's what you all want to avoid, right? And I don't know. There's a ton of pressure, I think, for the Leafs not to miss the playoffs at all. When you consider the revenue that would be lost by missing playoff games. So can they do this? Can they miss the playoffs and come back and make them the following year? Boston seems to have set something that teams can think that they can emulate, but I don't know how realistic it is if you don't have a Swayman or a Pasternak or 2-star defensemen in Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy. So, for me, I look upon for something that's been a good run for 10 years and kept a ton of interest. Did they fall short? Did they disappoint in the playoffs? Yeah, but they were right there for a lot of years as a contender, and it just might be that time in your program when you just got to take a couple of steps back.
Yeah, they might have to. It'll be interesting to see what they do, and if they do they move one of their other 2 big pieces in Nylander or Matthews? Because that would get you probably some big returns, no question.
But Jason, we have learned, and Quinn Hughes has been the latest example, that those guys tend to have a lot of power now, and they can dictate whether or not they have 2 years left on their deal or not. They can dictate a lot, but there's no sense that Matthews wants to go anywhere or Willie Nylander wants to go anywhere, and John Tavares just re-signed a contract. So if there's going to be talk eventually about those guys moving, it'll be probably because they most likely dictated that.
Nick Kipperos joins us here on Sports 1440. Looking at a few of the other teams, Nick, the Pittsburgh Penguins, very pleasant surprise. The Buffalo Sabres, after their start to the season, like on December 8th, No one would have thought the Sabres would have had the turnaround that they've had for sure. Matthew Schaefer and the Islanders, like there's a lot of turnover potentially here. The Detroit Red Wings look like they're finally going to get back in the playoffs. Out of out of this, and even the Bruins, right? Like nobody thought the Bruins would get back. And like those are 5 teams that people were like, I'm not really sure. I think Washington's a playoff team. I think Florida's a playoff team. I think Ottawa and Toronto and the Rangers are playoff teams, and they're not. So out of the surprise ones, maybe which one do you like the best, where you say, I could see this team winning 1 or 2 rounds?
Yeah, Buffalo for me. And I'm right there with you. And I'll be the first one to admit that, there's times with 32 teams, you're not really looking under the hood as well as you should. But watching Buffalo real close in the last couple of weeks, I'm like, man, that's a good team right now. They're and it's led by the blue line. Dahlin's gone to another level, guys. In terms of when you look at some of the teams that you mentioned, and I'll include Detroit in all of this, they got studs back there. They got mules that can play any which way. They can create offense, they can shut down, and they can control pace of play. That Mo Sider in Detroit, another guy, But when you look at Bo Byram and Dahlin, as I mentioned, and even Owen Power, which quietly has disappointed a lot of people early, he's starting to come on now, and he's starting to figure out what he is and where his strengths may lie. He may not have ever the pizzazz that other defensemen may have, but that's one big guy right there that's doing a lot of good work for Buffalo. But man, you got to draft well, and you got to have these guys develop on your blue line. And once you do, and I mentioned Boston as well, always having McAvoy there and Lindholm and Zadorov now has turned himself into a player there. You control a lot when you control the blue lines.
Oh, yeah. No. And Rasmus Dahlin, man, like everything that's going on in his personal life. And I think that's something you were a teammate. And there's sometimes, that's little different things can motivate a group and can galvanize a group. And we had Matthias Ekholm talking earlier today. Hey, it's a lot of games, a short period of time. And he goes, not an excuse, but it's hard to be emotionally invested every night. And to play good defense, you really got to be emotionally invested more than just skill-wise. And, it seems like in Buffalo, they've really rallied around Dahlin. And he's their captain, and he shows up, and then he goes away to be with his fiance, as he should, and the team supports him. And it's one of those things, Nick, that I do think at times we maybe overlook just how much importance there can be on just the human element. And guys can it can ground you a little bit and be like, yeah, okay, we've lost a few games, but there's much bigger things to worry about. And that becomes like a positive rallying cry for a team.
Jason, you're 100% correct here. And the one thing that Buffalo is feeling right now is to your point, that level of excitement and belief. And, maybe one night it's let's do it for Dahlin, or it's another night, let's do it for Tuck, who's looking for a new contract. But their source of energy right now, their source of is something special going on here? Are we destined now to finally break through and be what everybody else didn't think that we could be? And if you're lucky enough to find a group of guys that pull together and start believing this way, and Edmonton's had that for the last few years, you just don't get to a Stanley Cup final without it. And at times it probably is a little harder for them to feel the excitement when you're that far and that close in the last couple of years. But, for Oiler fans, you hope that it builds towards it. Maybe you don't start feeling it again till after you won the first round, but it has to be there for every single club that you feel like you're destined for something. And I don't know, Buffalo's got a little bit of that going on right now. Whether they can sustain it, whether or not, Cinderella strikes midnight or not on them remains to be seen. But for now, it's real nice listening to guys like Alex Tuck going, hey, we're not thinking about making the playoffs. We're thinking about winning the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, I love that answer from Tuck, right?
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Fantastic.
You have to have that mindset, I think, as a group, for sure. We don't just want to squeak in. We feel that we got a little bit more to offer than that. What about the Edmonton Oilers, Nick? Offensively, they can score. They've never had a problem scoring.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're going through one a little bit right now. I think they've shown in the past when they want to buckle down defensively, they can. It's obviously got them to 2 Stanley Cup finals at different points. You played long like, how much as a coach can you really hammer on a team that is capable of being better defensively, but where a 3 or 4 game stretch? Because prior to that, they'd actually been pretty good defensively for a 6-week stretch. How did you balance it? What did your coaches do when you had a good team that went through a funk defensively?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at certain scenarios, obviously it's up to a head coach on how much he wants to emphasize, and sometimes you find 2 or 3 guys that you have to make examples of, and then you just go from there. But whether or not Knobloch wants to go down that path in terms of really starting to hammer home and carry a bit of an iron fist now in terms of locking it in, we'll have to wait and see. Jari's comments were interesting the other night about what he sees in front of him, and it's not typical to hear a goalie like that talk, Jason, in terms of going, hey, hold on, before anybody points the finger at me here, let's just talk about what I see in front of me. And maybe it was a good thing, maybe it wasn't a good thing, I don't know. It all depends on how the guys take it and whether they see it as constructive criticism or just finger pointing remains to be seen. But maybe it takes a guy like that to make comments like that, to say, okay, let's revisit all of this and what's going on in front of us. So interesting times for sure. And we'll see whether it's the coach or a goalie or anyone else call anybody else out anymore on whatever we've been doing in front of our goalies has to stop, and it has to tighten up, because we just can't think we're going to win every game 7-5.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, well, Matthias Ekholm said it today. Leon Draisaitl said it today. Tristan Jarry said it after the game. And it was interesting because I had somebody from Toronto ask me, like, oh, how do you think that's going to go over when Jarry said that? I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, well, when Stolar said it earlier, everybody got all bent out of shape about it. And I'm like, well, did they really? Like, were Leafs or people upset that when Stolar said they got to play better defensively this year?
Yeah, I think, again, Stolar's, he ticked off a lot of people, but it wasn't, I just think it's a different scenario. I found me personally, Jari's comments a little bit more constructive than how Stolar's came across. And, they didn't have a good start to the season. They didn't have, the goalies were very strong themselves. But I just think with Connor there and all the rest of them, I think for me personally, I found Jari's comments probably a little bit more easier to take in than Stolar's. But hey, listen, these guys now, they're just not going to sit back. We've seen it, Dustin Wolf's comments, I can't score. These guys are taking more of a role than just, the guy that just shuts up and just tries to stop a puck. And again, we'll have to see how the response is. Now, when Stolar's called out, some of his teammates earlier on the season, his game totally went south. And I don't know if it had a negative effect on him, but when you go down that path, you better make sure that you've got your A game following it up. And that's the only thing that really will dictate whether or not it was constructive or not, is what direction the team goes after you've heard them. So, whether you're Jarry or Stolar, is, hey, no problem. We'll listen to what you have to say, but your game better be right there where it needs to be. Because if you're going to hold others accountable, you better hold your own game accountable too.
Yeah, no, that's 100% valid. Nick, great stuff as always. We appreciate it, man. We'll be interested to watch the Olympics. Enjoy that, and be a fantastic rush to the trade deadline coming out of the Olympic break with basically 9 days.
Appreciate it, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Nick Kipros joining us from Sportsnet and Sportsnet Radio Network. The Maple Leafs in Calgary tonight. Then they take on the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow. And I do know this. I spoke to a GM earlier today. He's just talking about different players. And he said, hey, I talked to the Toronto GM last week. And he said they weren't ready to talk. They weren't ready to throw in the towel. So, you know what? They look, hey, maybe they win tonight. Maybe they win tomorrow. And they say, hey, we're still in it. Now, maybe they lose tonight and lose tomorrow. Well, that changes it, right? So you don't have to rush into a trade last Friday if you're Brad Treliving, because a 3 or 4 win streak can change things for a team. And if you're Toronto and if you somehow can be 2 to 4 points out of the playoffs before the deadline, maybe you don't trade then, right? Maybe you don't. So, well, it'd be interesting to see kind of where it goes. But as a GM of a team, you probably never want to have to move too early on a trade if you don't have to. Right? Like, I'm guessing if the trade's there today, it's probably still going to be there in 4 days. If, by Thursday, now the trade, of course, freeze is Wednesday, not tomorrow, but it's Wednesday afternoon. So even think about it. Even if they lose tonight and Buffalo wins, right? And now you're back to 10 points out, right? So maybe you're like, oh, well, maybe now I'm suddenly open to business. Can change day to day for teams that think they should be a playoff team. Like, I'm sure Toronto still believes our guys just get to play to their level. We can win 5 in a row. They probably believe that. Right? Pittsburgh's on a 6-game winning streak. Right? Look at the streak Buffalo went on. So you never know. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design, build, sketching strategy, from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
These days, it's all about who you know. And that's why it's the perfect time to save at the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game and score free delivery on TVs over 50 inches, like a Samsung 85-inch 4K smart TV for just $999. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match. Save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137th, and downtown near the Ice District.
The job won't wait. Why should you? At AWS Welding Supplies and Repairs, conveniently located in Nisku, we've got everything you need to get it done. From product sales to servicing and calibrating machines, we're your one-stop shop. We're a proud, locally owned and operated business, committed to serving our community with a proven track record of customer service. Don't let a broken tool slow you down. We offer fast repairs and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork, made in Canada, made for Canada, where extreme isn't theoretical. Find your solution at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on, Gregor. Alley, Sports 1440, Declan Kruger running things at YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We got a boatload of texts and tweets to come into. Hey, guys, if anybody knows how to get a team almost to the playoffs, it's Brad Tree. DS, that's hard to argue with that. Yowzer. Nail hitting head. Hey-yo. Hey, guys, hard pressed to find a better fit for the Oilers need than Nick Hague. Any chance Nashville would move him? Oh, buddy, I am a huge Nick Hague fan. God. Now, the only issue is I just don't see, Nick Hague to me, awesome. Love him, but his price point is the Oilers, and he's a left defenseman, right? So if you're moving out Nick Hague, and hey, I'd say this, he's 6'6", he's 240, he's tough, he's physical, probably a little bit overpaid for, doesn't bring a ton of offense for you, right? And on a good team, I think he's a number 5, right? I don't think he's a number 4. When I look at his minutes played, and he was he was on a Vegas team they're a cup contender, they're a cup winning team. So I'm trying to pull up his minutes played in those years in Vegas, and I think he was usually around like a third pair guy. And there's nothing wrong. Was Brett Kulak a pretty good third pair defender? Yeah, I think he was. I had no issue with it. And so I'm looking at Nick Hague's minutes. Yeah, he was 1754 over a 3-year span. Right, and they had Pietrangelo, Hanifin, Theodore, McNabb, Alex Martinez. So Martinez and Hanifin, they were never really overlapping. Right, so that's where he'd come in. Good player, really good player. Probably a number 4 he could easily be a number 4 in a lot of teams. So I'll say this. If I had Jake Wallman, the problem is if I move Wallman back to the left side and I trade out a left defender, it'd probably have to be Nurse. Then I don't have a second pair right defender. That's a problem. But, and I've said this before, if I was the Edmonton Oilers, now, the problem is he'd have to agree to it. And that's what makes it challenging. But if this year doesn't go to plan, and I've said it beforehand, that I'm just not seeing much growth in Darnell Nurse's game. And I'm not sure you're ever going to. There's things he does well, but he just can't seem to slow the game down, despite veteran games played, to make better decisions with the puck. He doesn't have to make the best decision. He just said make better decisions. And so, God, if the Oilers had another right defenseman, even though I know Nurse brings more offense, I might trade him for Nick Hague, straight up. I know some people might think that's ridiculous, but I'm at that point now. Nurse, now maybe he'll flip the switch here. Maybe he'll go away for the break, but Darnell Nurse's last 6 weeks, man, have been frustrating for me to watch. I don't know if you feel the same, but it just seems like the mistakes are repeated mistakes, right? Gregor, didn't the Oilers just have Nick Hague and Brett Kulak? Sean? No, not even close, Sean. Not even close. Nick Hague's 6'6". He's a beast. He's physical. He's a very different player. Brett Kulak's reliable, don't get me wrong. But he's not a Nick Hague type player at all. No, he brings a very different element to your team. And could the Oilers use that? Yeah, they could. For sure. I'd like to see their 6'4" defenseman play with a little bit more snarl. There's no reason why he can't. He should play with a little bit more snarl. He being Darnell Nurse. Hey, Gregor, would you ever defer winning a coin toss? If you win the coin toss, pick what you want to do? Yeah. Teams have done it. You win the coin toss, teams have received the ball first. Certain times I do it. Kind of depends on situation, who we're playing, what's the other option. There's not every time would you do it. It would depend on certain situations. But I'd like to know, Cons, if we could find out the team who wins the coin toss, how many times have they taken the ball in the Super Bowl? Because that's what the question was, right? The 34 out of 59 times the team that wins the coin toss loses. All right? So they won the coin toss. They're 25 wins, 34 losses in the Super Bowl. But I'm curious, how many times did the team who won the coin toss take the ball? I'd be interested to find that out. We will take a quick break. We'll get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Right now, unbelievable deals on 2025s. I know it's 26. It doesn't matter. 25 just ended. Great vehicles, great blow-up prices. Stop in today, northgategm.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Edmonton Oilers goaltender Calvin Pickard cleared waivers earlier today after being placed on waivers on Sunday after going 5-6-2 in 16 appearances with an .871 save percentage for the Oil this season. The team also signed a defenseman after lapsing into a one-year, two-way contract through the 2027 season. And down in Nashville, Barry Trotz retiring as GM after 3 years with the position. He will stick around through the trade deadline and until a successor is found, playing the same role in the process. On the ice tonight, the Preds will host the St. Louis Blues. You've also got the Canadians taking on the Wild, the Penguins, and the Sens. Sabres taking on the Panthers. Blackhawks host the Sharks. Jets in Dallas. Canucks meet the Mammoth, and the Flames hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. In the association, just 3 games. Pacers, Rockets, Timberwolves, Grizz, and the Clippers host the Sixers. Earlier today, Pelicans falling with the Hornets 102-95. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and the voice of the Bakersfield Condors, Ryan Holt. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpot's Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
And here comes Action Electrical Service Team sprinting onto the scene. These are your first responders for any electrical emergency.
That's right. With their fleet of service vans and specialized gear, they assess, they service, and maintain electrical lighting and automation systems. They're all about rapid response.
Quick diagnostics and repairs to restore power and safety fast. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team.
Welcome back
and
to the Jason Gregor Show.
That means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit FountainTire.com today.
These days, it's all about
Sports
who you know.
1440, Sports
And that's why it's the
1440.ca,
perfect time to
YouTube,
save
Facebook,
at the
X.
Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game. And
Alley
free
Sports
delivery on
1440,
TVs
Declan
over
Kruger
50
running things
inches,
at the
like a Samsung
UGM.
85-inch 4K Smart TV for just $9.99. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match and save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137th, and downtown near the Ice District.
Wondering what to get your sweetheart this Valentine's Day? How about the gift of from Metal Supermarkets? They sell it, cut it, and bend it fast. Nothing says love like a sheet of solid steel to last a lifetime, just like your affection. Or you could do the old box of chocolate thing. So predictable. Be better. Metal Supermarkets, the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by UL. Get your power play amped up with UL, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. UL.ca is your partner in power.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We come on. Here are Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Oilers practice today. Calvin Pickard cleared waivers, but has not been reassigned, loaned to Bakersfield. I would expect him to stay on the roster, and could see him. He'll stay on the roster for a few reasons. It's kind of the right thing to do at this point. Veteran player. They've got family trips planned. You're not going to reassign him now. I know people say, well, what about reassign him and then just have him not report? Well, there's other factors that go into that. So you can delay it a day or two. I understand that. So could do it for sure if you wanted to. It's not really going to change much at this point. Because you're not accruing any cap space, right? The only impact it would have is days on roster, and that wouldn't matter because how it works is like Pickard cleared waivers today. So now he would have to play 10 NHL games or be on the NHL roster for 30 days before he has to go through waivers again. So, he'll stay technically on the roster because he's not going to get sent down before. And they come out of the break, you send him down. All of those days will have counted on the NHL roster, even though there's no games playing. But the only time Calvin Pickard's probably getting recalled to Edmonton is if there's an injury. So, and then how long does that injury last? And now you get into, is the roster expanded then now? Could you keep him if it's 2 weeks left? So I don't know if a team's going to worry about that much. Clearly they're not. So I don't think it's that much of a factor. And it might be, but it's not one to rip on the organ. For me, I'm not going to say, oh my God, the organization isn't doing this terrible. There's some reasons in here. How you treat players does matter. Doesn't mean that you can't put a guy like Calvin Pickard on waivers, which they did. But how you treat him afterwards can matter. So 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 is where you can text in your thoughts. It's a Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province. And you get in on the Super Bowl, lots of odds boosts and different props bets to you to check out all week long. And of course, Oilers, 2 more games. Toronto tomorrow night, Calgary on Wednesday in Calgary. And then they will be off for 3 weeks. And then they return the following, the last Wednesday of February, back in action in Anaheim to take on the Quackers. As it's time now for the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Underground infrastructure specialists. Keep the city moving, even when you don't see them. GS Construction. Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing?
Good, man. So there is a provision, actually, Jason, in the CBA. If you have spent, I don't know what the number is, but a certain amount of time in the NHL this year in terms of days, or played in a certain amount of games, you get the Olympic break no matter what. So they can send him to Baco all they want. Like, they can assign him there. He probably is. I don't even know if he's on their roster right now. It probably isn't.
No, he's still on the Oilers roster. He hasn't been officially assigned.
Okay, but anyway, he gets his break because he's considered an NHL player who has earned it. So the Oilers don't have an option to have him go play in Baco over the break like some people might be saying. That is not an option for the Oilers. Pickard gets the Olympic break. He'll resume play afterwards like everybody else.
Yeah. I've said that. I knew that that's what was happening. People are like, not people. The few people are claiming that it's a terrible move and they should be doing it, worrying about the 30 days on the roster stuff. Well, I don't really think it matters that much. The other thing that's interesting, though, about the order spec was it was pretty much agreed that the players were agreeing with their goaltenders' comments after the game on Saturday that, hey, we need to be better defensively. Like, Captain Obvious, but the goalie said it, and today Ekholm and Draisaitl were pretty much echoing what he said.
Well, there's a few things there. It's a good room, right? Every veteran in there knows what you don't do is come back and snipe your starting goalie and say, oh yeah, what about your game, buddy? Like, they might be thinking it. I heard Kipper, and he nails it right in the head. If you're going to call out other people, your game better be darn sound, right? And Jari's game isn't. Okay, let's make this clear. His game isn't darn sound, and it's not just because of grade A chances. He's not playing that good. So for him to take his team, call his team defense out like that, he does not fit the description that Kiprios laid down, where you better be playing pretty good to do that. So hey, I've been around teams. You've been around teams. I guarantee you there were some eyebrows raised among those Oilers players when those quotes got around, when they watched some of those goals go in the other night. But they're smart enough not to stand in front of a microphone today and say to you and say to me, that goalie, I don't know, man. Like, how about his game? What about that Quinn Hughes goal? Like, they're not going to do that. So that's just a way a proper dressing room functions.
Yeah. I didn't, Jari probably could have said, hey, I need to play better too. But I don't need the perfect response. I'm not going to rip on a guy for telling the truth. The Oilers got to play better defensively. It's not nothing outside the norm here. You've allowed 25 goals in 5 games. And what's funny about that is Jari, who's allowed 10 goals, 5 on 5, still is like 3.5 goals saved above expected in that time. So the goalie's got a point. They got to be better defensively, which is not new to this organization by any stretch of the imagination.
Are you kidding? No, it's not new at all. And listen, that's who this team is right now. And they've, I guess you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, because they have managed to dial it in when it's important for the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years running, right? 4 years ago, they dial it in well enough to get to a conference final. And, they lost to Vegas the next year in a series where, frankly, their defensive play wasn't great. And then they went to 2 cups. So they obviously could play good enough defense as a team. Yeah, they could start any time. Ekholm was dead right today when he said that, our games, we just feel like, we can score 5 every night. So that's how we play. Well, that's not how you're going to win. Everybody knows that. So I guess my point is, Jay, I've seen this team dial it up enough times. I'm going to predict they'll dial it up again.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt that, how high they dial is a question mark, but
how high is a question mark?
Yes.
Sure.
But will they be better defensively? Yeah, that's not I don't really discount that at all. I will say, I like Matthias Ekholm's honesty today about many factors on the team. And you know what he said? Hey, I've been on teams that were great defensively, couldn't score. I'd much rather be on our spot, because good defensive is more in the head. You can't work your way to more offense. You can work your way to better defense. You can't work your way in skill, to more offense. You do ultimately need some skill at the end of the day.
No, this is the better way. To me, it's kind of like a team that can win on the road will figure out how to win at home. But a team that can only win at home sometimes can never figure out how to win on the road. And you're talking about the same thing here for sure. And Ekholm also said you can lay down the smartest X and O's you want in your defensive scheme. If you don't compete and play hard and with energy and with, and really play, doesn't matter what your coaches tell you. None of that matters. If you're not winning battles, your defensive system doesn't mean jack. So, I think they probably have a defensive system that's good enough. Generally speaking, these are mostly the same players, give or take Brett Kulak. So I assume that those same players who found a way to compete and play a proper defensive game in the past few years will again find that this year. And if they don't, newsflash, they won't win. Right? It's that simple.
Yeah. No, that's totally valid. It's totally valid. The order spec, Josh Szymanski, I think in his limited minutes, kind of sheltered minutes, has done exactly what you'd want from a team that's leaking goals. In his 3 games, he's he's been on the ice, outscoring the opposition 3-1. Like it's a good start for him. I think he's opened some eyes for the organization for sure. I do think when Adam Henrique comes back, that Szymanski will go down, just strictly because somebody has to go down, right? Yep. You look at the roster,
okay.
Something has to go down. But I like Szymanski a lot here, and I wouldn't. His size and speed, man, like this guy could be a really good bottom 6 find for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, no doubt about it. And he's already earning the coach's trust, which is always like 3/4 of the job for a young player. Because if the coach doesn't trust you, you don't get ice time. If you don't get ice time, you don't produce. If you don't produce, you don't stay in the NHL. So he's got the coach's trust here. He's getting a little bit more ice time. And you're right. Whether this happens for Szymanski this season, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, when they plan their team out in the summer, I think they'll probably, if he gets a little bit better and gets a little more ice time and finds a way to take a little bit of a step here between now and the end of the regular season, I would say, Jay, when Bowman and Knobloch are putting their team together in August, they'll probably save a spot for him next year, don't you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think, well, you think about it. So when the offseason comes, you're okay, you know what? We maybe need a fourth line center. And you looked at free agent market and you're like, no, we'll just promote Josh Szymanski from within. Easy.
Well, who's up next year, right? I think Janmark's up after this.
He has another
one more year. Henrique is up after this year.
Yeah. Like there's lots of arguments that Janmark shouldn't be here past this year, right? Like his effectiveness on the team is incredible. And I get that he's a reliable spec and I understand that, but his effectiveness is very questionable with the puck on his stick or even without. Like he's not doing a whole lot.
No, he doesn't do a whole lot. He's been a pretty good playoff player. He helps you in the playoffs. He's still got great wheels and he's a decent penalty killer, you know. I don't mind him, frankly. I don't mind him because every team's got a guy down there that doesn't produce offensively. But if you have too many, then you got a problem, right? And, you know, for instance, offensively, can you have Janmark and Frederick in your same bottom six? I guess you can, but that sure puts pressure on the other four guys to get some points.
Well, yeah. Right? Like I said, man, Frederick's just got to get to this break and then come back and like it's a new season. Right. Like that 3-week break, you know, mentally do whatever you want. You come back and you know what? Don't ever look at the stat sheet. Just say, hey, I want to see stats from February 24th on. That's what I would honestly. And if I was the whole team, that's what I would do because anything prior to that is irrelevant. Yeah. It's irrelevant once you come back. Now, fans and media can talk about it, but as a player, it's irrelevant. I can't change it. So I would never talk about it. I would never bring it up. Even if I'm a coach, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm like, hey, we're going to start here. From now on, these are the numbers we look at. So improve there. And mindset-wise, that'll be good for the player.
Sure, man, whatever it takes at this point, you know, whatever it takes, right? Guy's got 3 points all season. So if that's your solution, I'm all in. I'm in 100%.
Yeah.
You know, let's hope we're not talking at the halfway through April and he's at 5 points because then I'm going to ask you to come up with a new plan.
Well, if he's at 5 points, like, are you talking 5 points on the season or 5 points since February 24th? If it was 5 points since the 24th, that's a big improvement.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. Going to, do you think, where do you come out on Regula never playing? Like at some point, do they have to put him in? Or would you just wait and then give him I know he counts on the roster, but coming out of the Olympic break, maybe just put him on a conditioning stint for if you know, look at the schedule and say, hey, you know what? He can go down there and play in Bakersfield on a conditioning stint. He's still on the roster, but get him some games in.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that if the player would have to agree, and he probably would.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's like any player, just sitting around here and not playing games is not. And he's a young player who, at some point, was getting better around here. It's not going to help. The other thing that's going to happen is, I would predict at the deadline they bring in another defenseman, and that's just going to push Regula down to the 8-hole, right? And now I'm going to say, geez, maybe you got to put him on waivers and send him to the minors, and everyone seems to believe in the Oilers organization he'll get picked up. So, you know, it's a conundrum for sure. But you're not keeping 8 defensemen around after the deadline, Jay. You're not doing that. So I don't know what happens, but he's kind of like the Calvin Pickard situation. We all knew something was going to happen, and it finally did. I would say now probably the waivers watch or the whatever watch is now moved from Pickard over to Regula. Were you surprised that Pickard never got picked up at all today?
No, I wasn't. Because I said, remember, Spec, like 2 weeks ago, I went over and I said there was 2 teams and it was due to injuries. And one of them was Ottawa. And I said, if those teams, because lots of teams have a third goalie, because you got to keep them on your roster, right? That's the big thing. Got to keep them on your roster. So yeah, I wasn't overly surprised at all that he wasn't claimed on waivers by anybody. And you know, the orders are now, you know what, you do the right thing. As you say, he stays on the roster. Either way, he'd be on the roster, goes in the break, then he comes back, and then they'll send him down. And, you know, if they have an injury, then he'll probably get recalled. And if they don't, then he'll probably stay down in Bakersfield up until the NHL playoffs begin, or if the NHL playoffs are going, and then he'll stay down there. But that's a harsh reality. As Leon Draisaitl said, like, it sucks. He's one of my best friends, but you know, you also, you know, you're not oblivious to the business side of the game.
Yeah, I thought that, for Philly has one goalie, Dan Vladar. The next guy, I don't even think he's an NHL goalie, Earson. I thought that if Philly needed to win, I look at Philly, they're 9 points out of the playoffs with like 7 teams to pass. So I don't think they want to get better.
No.
So they don't want to get better. And I get that. I thought that the Rangers, if they could have a deal for Jonathan Quick, they might take Pickard to fill that hole if they traded Quick, but obviously that wasn't the case. So, you know what, he gets through, and now, like, what do you do with the guy? Like, you got Unger playing so well in Bakersfield. Do you send Pickard down and he starts taking starts from this kid, or what do you do?
Oh, well, Spec, this is so there's a few things at play there. So I haven't asked anybody this, but because I knew the question would come. So first of all, Tompkins and Pickard have two-way contracts. You can't just send them to the ECHL. They have to agree to go to the ECHL. So that's number one. So do I think Calvin Pickard's going to agree to go to the ECHL? Pat.
Calvin Pickard?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Well, so he'd have to agree. So would Matt Tompkins. So I don't think they would agree. So that's why I say I think Unger is going to go down there. And the other factor is right now, Unger and Tompkins are splitting time in Bakersfield, right? And like if you like both of them are playing well. Like you look at here's Matt, as good as Unger's played, like just look at Matt Tompkins, 947, 953, 932, 1,000. Like those are his last 5 starts, right? Like he's been pretty good too. So both goalies have played well, but they're splitting duties. I think the organization talks to a young guy in Unger. Hey, this is the business of hockey. Here we go. But you're going to go to the ECHL and you're going to play every game. And goalies playing more is better. Even though the skill level in the ECHL is a little bit lower, I was told by multiple people the jump from the ECHL to the AHL is a lot smaller than the jump from the AHL to the NHL. So that's why I think ultimately Pickard will go down and people will freak out, not knowing the rules that one of them would have to agree to go to the minors or the ECHL. But because Unger's his contract, like he'd go. So it's different.
Yeah, I get it. If there's one guy you can send, no problem. That's probably the guy who goes. I mean, I think that, listen, Unger's been an awesome surprise down there. And all of a sudden the Oilers might, and I stress the word might, I think he's played 8 AHL games. They might have a goalie, right? He might be a guy, but he ain't going to be the guy this year, right? He's not coming up and winning playoff games for you, folks. That's just never going to happen on a team that's trying to win a Stanley Cup. They are not, unless 4 guys get injured, right? Connor Unger's not starting playoff games for you. So, he's had a hell of a year. You found out a lot about him. I'm going to say this to you again. When they put down their organizational whiteboard in August, Connor Ingram is the starter in Baco next year for sure. And you go from there. But I think as a smart GM and Stan Bowman, you make that move you talked about with Unger, and you keep Pickard ready to play because Jari could go down or Ingram at any minute. And you need Pickard, a real NHL goalie, ready to come help your team immediately, not Pickard sitting down there as a third goalie. I haven't played in a month. We're not calling up Unger because that's not the way you break in a young player. So yes, the way you describe it is probably the way it's going to go.
Yeah, we get a lot of texts. Well, what about Binnington? I'm like, okay. Well, Jordan Binnington, do you know how many AHL starts he had before he came to that, miracle run with the St. Louis Blues? He had 164 AHL starts. So a little bit more experience. Safe to say, like he'd had
more than 8.
Yeah, 4, and he'd had 40 starts in the ECHL, right?
Yeah,
like,
really.
hey, yeah. So I hope that Connor Unger keeps developing. Don't get me wrong, but I think at times there's fans who just see numbers and there's no rational thought process to go with the number. Say, wait a sec, would this happen? Yeah, Binnington. Okay, but it's not a fair comparison to Binnington because Binnington played like 5 years in the minors. This is only he's played 1 full year. That was last year in the ECHL. And now this year he's played a grand total of 19 games this year. Awesome. And he's been phenomenal in the numbers. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely phenomenal. But the NHL, and especially down the stretch, and with the way the Oilers are playing defensively, think I'm bringing up a rookie goalie? No chance.
Yeah, no, No, and I think you got two guys in Edmonton that either guy could probably carry the ball if the other guy got hurt. I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. I haven't seen Ingram be a number one yet, so I guess let's cross that bridge if you come to it. But in the end, the goaltending department has been completely changed out in Edmonton since a year ago today. 2 in, 2 out. And let's head towards the playoffs with two completely different guys and see how it goes this time around, man.
Well, hey, that's the one unknown. I'll say this. The goalies need to be better, but I would argue the defensive structure needs to be better, and then you can have a better sense of how the goalies are playing based on the defensive structure.
Totally. Yeah, you can't ask a guy to play behind, just a totally porous. I mean, this was Stu Skinner's life here in Edmonton, right? When we fought this argument, you, me, fans, other media people, is it Stu? Is it the team? What is it? Who do we like? Who do we blame? But, I would say to you that I think what we all agreed on, when the team played well defensively, Stu Skinner tended to play pretty well himself. And that's not by mistake, right? Those two elements are intertwined. It's easier to be a goalie and a good goalie when you got a good defensive team in front of you. You don't need to be an expert to know that.
Spec, we will chat with you tomorrow.
Hey, sounds good, Jake.
There you go. It's a Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back. Ryan Holt will join us. We'll get a breakdown of the Condors. Of course, Connor Unger's play. Matt Tompkins play. The goalies are playing great. Defensively, not so much. But they did have a contract extension today. If you missed it, Leppinen has signed an extension with the Edmonton Oilers. So he'll be down in Bakersfield again next year for sure. So we'll get to that more on the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Action Electrical Solar Team is now making a play for sustainability and savings. They're specialists in powering up for a greener future.
That's the strategy. Designing and installing high-efficiency solar panels. They're helping homes and businesses combat rising utility costs by harnessing the power of the sun.
A smart move for efficiency and the environment. Hire the Action Electrical Team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Edmonton's only 24-hour-a-day sports radio station can be heard anytime, anywhere. Sports 1440 is streaming on your phone, your tablet, your computer. Download an app today and listen to Sports 1440.
The new double cheesy melt at McDonald's. We're talking 2 juicy, mouth-watering 100% Canadian beef patties, 2 slices of cheesy goodness, with even more melty, cheesy sauce on top. Topped with pickles, then crispy and grilled onions. The way it all comes together, you don't just eat it, you melt into it. The double cheesy melt, only at McDonald's. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
This year, instead of a short winter getaway from the cold, what if you took a permanent winter getaway from your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, inviting you to come plan your winter transformation. I've helped thousands of Edmonton men and women get their hair and their confidence back. Many of them preferred the winter. Cooler temperatures are great for recovery, and winter hats can keep everything discreet. Trips are nice, but this winter, choose to invest in your vessel. Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Something's happening. Something big. The Service Big Share Contest is back, where just by saving money with Service Credit Union, you could win $1 million. From now until the end of April, the more money you save with us, the more chances you have to win. The Service Big Share Contest. Isn't it time to feel good about your money? The Service Big Share Contest ends April 30th, 2026. No purchase required. For information and rules, visit service.ca/win.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Riverside Honda. 59 years and counting is St. Albert and surrounding areas' premier Honda and Can-Am dealer. It's your dream. Ride it at riversidehonda.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.532. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Howling, Declan Kruger, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Lovely Monday afternoon. We got something that we don't hear very often that I'm going to, we're going to talk about very in-depthly on tomorrow's show that I think many of you will be interested in. That's what actually, I'm fairly confident all of you will be interested in it. So it'll be great. Kind of involves the Olympics and something a little closer to home. So it's coming up tomorrow on the show. But first, let's get back to the oil report brought to you by Go Auto. GoAuto.ca is where you can get all of your vehicles. The Edmonton Oilers, of course, their AHL affiliate, the Bakersfield Condors, got some young prospects in lots of different positions who are raising eyebrows and making people say, hey, maybe this guy, maybe that guy. And that really hasn't been the case for quite some time, which is a good problem to have. And the guy who watches all the games, calls all the games, Ryan Holt, the voice of the Condors, joins us once again. And Ryan, I guess, can you get us an update? The defense corps has been kind of decimated down there in Bakersfield. Give us a little update on how the health is and maybe some guys coming back and guys who just recently came back.
Yeah, it's gotten better. I can say that. Riley Stillman should be back, I think, tomorrow. He took full practice today, looked good. Atra Lepinen's been skating for the better part of the last week or so. So I would imagine he's probably good for this weekend. I would imagine we're playing a back-to-back with Ontario, a home and home. So likely probably only one of the two games for Lepinen. Maybe Cam Dineen this weekend as well, too. And Bo Akey's been skating as well, and Bo took a shot to he didn't take a shot. It was a rim out around the boards, and just kind of got caught on the bench and at a wrong spot in the wrong time, and lost probably 7 teeth, and still isn't really eating solid food, but wants to play. So we'll see what happens this weekend. But at least the 4 D-men are nearing returns, if you will, and that's a positive sign for the group.
Let's get to the goaltending because, man, the numbers, obviously we saw Connor Unger set the franchise record, 51 saves, facing 53 shots. He's been outstanding, man. I was looking at Matt Tompkins' last 5 games, 2 shutouts. His save percentage in all those games, like 947, 953, 932, 1,000, 1,000. So both goalies have had to be unreal because it's kind of been a little bit of a shooting gallery lately due to all the injuries on the back end.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking with Kelly Gard, the goaltending coach here in Bakersfield, and just looking at some of the kind of the metrics and the advanced statistics and things of that nature. And yes, we gave up 53 shots. It wasn't necessarily the high danger quality chances that you might expect. Certainly, though, with 53 shots, you'd expect more than 2 goals against, and Unger was terrific on Saturday night. But both goaltenders have really turned in professional outings here, especially in the month of January. Unger went 5-1. Tompkins went 5-1-2. They both had over a 9.5 save percentage, and they've been really impactful just from their play and calmness back there. I think maybe early in this year, there wasn't as much calmness back there. There wasn't as much maybe confidence, but now there is. This group is rolling. They know they have the offensive firepower to outscore teams, but what teams have done here of late is just sling pucks in the offensive zone and try to get pucks back, and that's how they've tried to break the Condors down. That's led to shot volume, not necessarily shot quality, but the goaltenders have been excellent as well in front of them. So credit to everybody because it obviously wasn't a great start to the defensive side of the game. early on this season. But, for the better part of the last 20, 25 games, this team's been rock solid.
The offense side, how has Ike Howard looked since coming back down?
Yeah, he's looked his old ways. Him, Hudson, and James Hamlin, we're kind of calling him the Triple H line down here in Bakersfield after the wrestler. With Hamlin in the middle, he's the workhorse of that line just in terms of, getting pucks back and retrieving pucks in the offensive zone. And he's been the beneficiary of having those two because, he has 8 points in his last 8 games, and he's opened the scoring the last 2 nights. So, Hamlin can have that offensive side to his game as well, too. But obviously a different type of player than Howard and then Hudson. But those two are so dynamic, especially when together. They generated a bunch of opportunities this weekend. I thought Hudson probably could have had 3 or 4 goals that he probably was scoring back in December this weekend, and they were all set up by Howard. So that line was our best line for the most of the weekend, and then the Finns took over of late in that third period to help us over the hump. But Howard has looked like his old self and like the player we know him to be.
Robbie Yarventi is an interesting player to me. Battled injuries there for almost 2 years, right? And then he comes back and maybe even longer than that, really, because I think he played like 40 games, 22 games, 2 games. So it was an extended period of time with injuries. At the start of this year, they were holding him out and playing back-to-back to begin with, but he's been now up and running, for a good 2.5 months straight. And like when I see Yarventi, he's a different type of player than Hamlin or Hudson or even Savoy because he's bigger and he's more aggressive and he's assertive and he kind of looks like this guy could be a third line player at the NHL level, right? Like Edmonton and like Klattenberg's like a fighter, grinder, fourth line, like Szymanski, bottom 6 center. Like Edmonton's prospect pool has top guys, but also bottom of the lineup guys, which are very important. And that's kind of how I see Yarventi. How do you see his game and what he does best that could translate to the NHL?
Yeah, when he's skating, he can take over a game. Big, powerful kid, has a terrific shot, has probably the best one-timer on the team. The problem, or I shouldn't say a problem, the word for him has been consistency, right? He has had peaks and valleys this year, and I think that's to be expected. You mentioned the lack of ice time here over the last 2+ seasons. We're in the grind of the year right now. We just played for us 14 games in 30 days. That's with 3 flight trips over the course of the weeks, and that's not easy on the body. So he was held out of practice today just for a maintenance day. Again, they're trying to manage him as best as possible so that they get the best possible 16 to 20 minutes a night out of him. Colin Chalk talked on Saturday about his game on Friday night. He had 7 shots. He had a goal late. The game got out of hand naturally against Abbotsford, but I thought he was very impactful just in terms of earning his ice time, earning his minutes. That power play unit with Yarventi scored twice on Friday night. Him and Mariala linked up twice in the game on Saturday. So good to see him come to the forefront. And I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head early on in the interview here is, this team has waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not just a one-line team. This is Hudson and Howard. Yeah, they were carrying the mail in December, but then it turned into Griffith and Hamlin and Jones. And now, Yarventi and Mariala have kind of come to the forefront. Szymanski's been consistent throughout the year. There's 1,000 different ways this team can beat you. And we haven't even touched on the defensive side of the thing in terms of their offense. But I think just, the amount of depth this team has right now is fun to watch. And it was Yarventi and Mariala show in the third period there, and they busted the game open in a tight game. And, that's what you want to see.
Yeah. Well, hey, him and Marjala, excuse me, are guys that you're never going to win with just one line at any level. But, there's like a healthy competition a little bit. Like these are a lot of young guys. They're all great teammates, but they all know like they're all kind of fighting for the same opportunity, and that's get to recall Edmonton.
Absolutely. And I think, you mentioned it, just they're all kind of slotting in different spots, in terms of how they kind of see them at the next level or how they kind of see them moving forward. And at the AHL level, all of them can be top line guys and all of them can be on the power play. At the NHL level, that's not going to be the case. So, for a guy like Mariala who killed penalties this past weekend, adding that into his game, we've had some injuries. Max Jones has been in and out of the lineup, and Mariala kind of put his hand up and said, hey, I've killed penalties in Finland. I can do this. And, he jumped on the PK as well. So, I think to have different elements to your game is nice. To know that, at the next level, you're not going to be on the first power play and you're not going to get a ton of ice time. So how do you make best with your 8 to 10 minutes a night and likely killing penalties, and how can you be impactful in those ways?
Is Yarventi on the penalty kill at all?
Roby's not killing penalties. He's on the second power play. We've got a pretty good consistent, and I mentioned Jones kind of being out of the lineup. Hudson has killed penalties here for the most part this season. Daniel D'Amato and James Hamlin are kind of the go-to killers, if you will, up front in terms of their minutes. And Mariala jumped on for Jones this past week. But basically, it's been 3 rotating pairs of forwards.
Okay. Lastly, I know I talked to Clattenburg in Edmonton a while back. He's hoping probably another 3 weeks until he can return. And, when he comes back, he's obviously an energetic guy. Have they missed his energy at all down in Bakersfield, or do you have other guys who feel that?
Yeah, we could use him. He's a great kid, and actually I just saw him in the dressing room today. He actually returned to Bakersfield to, continue his rehab and hopefully, like you mentioned, probably early March for him to get back in the lineup, which would be definitely a boost for the team. But, we've got some depth, and, I mentioned D'Amato, and Ethan Keppen's done a nice job kind of providing a little physicality. He fought the other night as well against Abbotsford after, the game got out of hand and Abbotsford started taking some liberties. And, some of the depth defensemen too have really, done a nice job in eating up minutes. Tyson Feist and Tyler Inamoto and Mason Millman and Luke Prokop and guys who, when, the 4 guys that I mentioned that are out injured are healthy, are likely are in and out of the lineup. But, they've done a nice job here of keeping the ship afloat. And listen, we're 10-2-2 in our last 14, so something must be going right. But it's a great sign. But obviously, would get Clattenburg back in the lineup would be a nice boost for ticket sales here in Bakersfield. We're doing well, but could always use a little boost with Clattenburg, and then obviously him in the lineup would be fantastic.
Best of luck, Ryan. Continued success. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for the update as always.
Thanks, Grace. Appreciate it.
There you go. That's Ryan Holt, voice of the Condors. We'll come back, wrap things up. We'll hear from Leon Draisaitl on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
It only comes once a year.
Aw, Valentine's Day.
What? No, from the top. It only comes once a year.
Oh, here we go. The Rock and Roll Super Party, only at On the Rocks.
Join host Ryan Jesperson on Sunday, February 8th.
At OTR for the biggest football party in Edmonton.
Your $30 ticket includes
all-you-can-eat buffet, commemorative t-shirts, prepaid Miller Lights, and entry to all prizes, including
$1,000 cash.
The Rock and Roll Super Party.
Only at On the Rocks.
Book your table today.
OnTheRocksYEG.com.
Want sports talk on the go?
You can listen to 1440 on the AM dial or stream us on your mobile device through apps like Radio Player, iHeart, and Stingray Music.
Edmonton sports fans,
turn to Sports 1440.
1440.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
If you manage or lead a team, join your peers April 14th to 17th at the Banff Management Course. PA Douglas Training invites you to 3 days of immersive leadership development in beautiful Banff, Alberta. Learn how to manage conflict, motivate and influence others, strengthen teamwork and improve productivity. Proudly Canadian, PA Douglas has trained over 150,000 professionals. Registration includes 3 nights at the Banff Springs Hotel, breakfast, select meals, refreshments, and course materials. Register now at PADouglas.ca.
Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru. Engineered for Canadian winters, built for real-life confidence. Tackle the ice and snow with Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, delivering the power, control, stability, and grit you need. And when the temperature plummets, you'll cruise in comfort with heated seats and heated steering wheel. All this plus peace of mind with Subaru's top safety pick status for 19 years running. This winter, it's time to get you into a Subaru. Visit Subaru.ca today.
Measles is very dangerous during pregnancy, increasing the risk of many severe health-related complications. If you're planning to become pregnant, make sure you have received 2 doses of the vaccine at least 1 month before conception. Don't get measles, get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. The Oilers are back in action, and OTR is ready to be your hockey headquarters. $5.75 Molson Canadian, 69-cent wings, and play score and win every game. See more at ontherocksyeg.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through Monday afternoon. Coming up tomorrow, you got the Laughs and the Oilers, then the Flames. On Wednesday, when you think about it, for Oiler fans, it's the 2 organizations it's not easy for you to get fired up against. Oiler fans obviously aren't big supporters of the Flames, nor should you be. And when the Leafs come to town, Oiler fans get a little fired up, right? There are a lot of Leaf fans. I'm always kind of curious. Like I see a lot of Leaf fans under the age of 30, and I'm kind of like, now, if you traveled all the way from Toronto, I get it. But if you live here, why are you a Leaf fan? I'm just curious. Like, what would cause you that? Maybe it's your parents. It's the only thing I could think of, right? What would it be? A little odd. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text us. It's Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, Gregs, it seems like almost every NHL team's bottom 6 are all Canadian. Oh, we're still drawing a lot of international talent to the NHL. It seems like it's still skill guys. Do you think there's a slew of shutdown type talent in Europe that's untapped, or is there a reason those kind of players aren't coming over? From Brad. Interesting question. I'd have to go through teams because I'm not sure that's really accurate. When I look at it overall, to say that all the bottom 6 on teams are predominantly North American, right? Definitely probably the more physical. I'd have to probably dig a little deeper into that, but it's an interesting thought process on it. I think there are, because I'll say this, and this is why. I don't think it's more, there's birth certificate is one thing, but it has to come down to, so if I'm Russian, or if I'm Swedish, or if I'm Finnish, or if I'm Czech Republic, and most bottom 6 players, not all, obviously there's exceptions, but lots of the bottom 6 players are $1 million league minimum, right? 1.3, 1.4. You can make the same money or close playing in your home country. So if you were a grinder, would you stay? If I could make $1 million to live in the USA or Canada, play in the NHL, or I could make $1 million playing in the Swedish Elite League and not as many games, it's not as physically taxing, would I do it? Yeah, you would. So, because you look at a guy like, what's his name? David Tomashik. Right? David Tomashik, I think, had he stayed longer, I think he easily could have been a regular bottom 6 forward. Bigger body, could be physical, right? But he can go back to his home country and play top line minutes. Because make no mistake, lots of your 3rd and 4th liners in the NHL could go to those other leagues and play up higher in the lineup. Make no mistake about it. We see it all the time. And so you play more. You might not make as much, but you get to play more. So I would think that's as much of a reason as anything else. right? And some of those guys, you're North American, you grew up, you wanted to play in the NHL. Like, not many kids grow up and say, hey, you know what, I want to play in the Swedish Elite League. I want to play in the KHL. You just don't, because you don't see it. You're Canadian. You hear about the NHL. You hear about the American League. That's where you want to go. So I would guess that's as much of a reason, because it's not like every bottom six forward is a real physical player. Look at the Oilers' bottom six. Right? They're not all overly physical by any stretch of the imagination. So, like, is Janmark any less physical? No, he's, than like Jack Roslovic or Matt Savoy? Not really. But it's a good question. Hey, guys, there's no reason to call up Unger. To bring him up with a Swiss cheese defense right now would be ludicrous. Bowman is not a fool. From John. Well, John, I would tend to agree with you. I love the Connor Unger story. It's 8 games in the AHL. 8 games. And I know people have been a little fired up because the Oilers have been leaking some goals against lately. I don't think it's just the goaltending. We're not going to go down that road again, are we? Stu Skinner's fault was Stu Skinner's fault. It was Stu Skinner's fault. Stu Skinner's fault. Right? I look at Unger, and I just hope he continues to have success. But I'm trying to think of a goalie who got recalled after 8 AHL games. There's probably some. Like, I know that some haven't even played it. You're right. And those guys, you know what? It was fantastic. It was success right away. Awesome. But most goalies, not all, most, right? Like, even Marc, do you know how many Marc-Andre Fleury, do you know how many AHL games that guy played? Before he was, now he did get to play a little bit in the NHL in 2003, 2004. Then he went back to junior. Then the next year, guess what? Played the whole year in the AHL. Then the next year started in the AHL, then got recalled. So he got those 20 games in the NHL the first time because he wasn't eligible to go to the AHL. But even they were like, hey, we want you in the AHL. So I don't have a problem with it. Hey, guys, I don't think Regula's a regular NHL defenseman. I would send him down and not worry if he gets claimed. Okay. But now it's easy to say that, as a fan, I'm not going to worry about it. But if you lose Alex Regula on waivers for nothing, and then all of a sudden you have an injury or two, then what? Right? Like, Alex Regula missed he's only played 29 games the last 2 years, right? I do think his skating is a little bit hampered by the fact he wasn't able to train in the offseason how he's wanted. Right? Like, he had 2 abbreviated off seasons, not getting to train how you like. That does, it's a factor, whether we like it or not. It's a factor. So I could see why they're being cautious. I could see Regula actually maybe being part of a trade. Right? Say, hey, we're going to bring in a defenseman. Okay, we'll trade him out because at least you got something for him. You put him on waivers, you get nothing. And that's a risk. Like, he's a young defenseman. He's 25 years of age. Like, for D-man, that is not old by any stretch of imagination. So I can't write it off yet to say Regula is an NHL defender. People thought Ty Emerson wasn't last year. Now y'all like him. Things change quick. Let's get to the Con Man of Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, your partner in power since 1975. For all your electrical needs, EWEL.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. After 20 minutes, Sabres-Panthers tied at 2 apiece. The Penguins up on the Sens 1-0. Caps at home trail the Islanders 1-0. And midway through the first, the Wild have a 1-0 lead over the Canadians. Later tonight, Blues in Nashville. You got the Blackhawks hosting the Sharks. Jets taking on the Stars. Avs